Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the show today. I have woken up with a crick in my neck and a stuffy nose, so it'll clean up, I'm sure. And I've also have been informed that there's such a thing as a P and a Diddy.
Yep.
So yeah, of course, jokes aside, I have heard of this Sean Combs fella.
Yep.
I think he was called the Puffy Daddy, or something, something like that,
This is
back
the
in the
whitest
day.
you've ever sounded
I've
in the whole
tried.
time I've known you.
I tried. Thank you. And the funny thing with him is, I know he's made like an incredible amount of money, but my wife and I were sitting there when the news was coming through this week on him. Not that we were surprised by Hollywood cancer, right? But we agreed that we've never actually heard a single song from the guy, and we don't know why he's wealthy.
Well, listen, listen.
Okay.
Sex slavery is
Yeah.
extremely profitable.
Is
All
it?
right, it
All
makes a
right.
lot of money. It makes really good money.
Fair enough.
Um,
So
and
he's the Black
apparently it
Epstein?
has a that seems that way. And
Oh,
apparently it has a shelf life before eventually the system's like, all right, that's enough, and then it cuts you off, and then you get Epstein, like
or
might
yeah.
happen to Mr. Diddy here.
Well, maybe he just
So
made somebody mad.
yeah, or right, he
Got in
stepped
the
on the wrong
way,
toe.
right?
Yeah,
Stepped on the wrong
yeah,
toes. Because the
yeah.
simple thing is, other than everyone telling me he's amazing and a billionaire, for what,
Right.
decades now, I
Yeah,
really
been a minute.
don't
Yeah.
know anything about him. I've never heard a song by him. I don't know who. I guess recently he's somehow involved with an Ursher, which is really a bad mispronunciation, and a beaver. So
Yeah, old Justin.
yeah.
No, there's a lot of really weird videos you can find of Mr. Combs with very young, including Mr. Bieber, young musicians
Mhm.
talking about how they had to go stay at his house for a weekend, and
Right.
they got the Diddy treatment, and it's just like this is
That's a
this is just
is it
huh?
is he kind of in your face? Is he in your face with his name? Because I always remember him as Sean Combs or Puff Daddy,
Yeah.
but now he's a Diddy. Is he kind of in your face with the diddler thing?
I'm thinking it is. I think it's one of these
It's
things
one of
because
those, yeah,
you know,
mocking
the
you. Yeah.
Satanists or the Saturnists or whatever they want to call themselves, they for some reason have to always tell you what they're doing. Part of their thing. They
It
have to
seems
tell you
so.
what they're doing.
Isn't that weird? Yeah,
And I think that might be what happened here because
I
this
see.
is just too I mean, he calls himself P Diddy and he's getting busted for sex trafficking. Like, wait a minute.
What?
Wait
Yeah.
a minute.
What? Yeah. Now the Ursher thing is it doesn't sound as disgusting because we all know him as a heartthrob type of dude. My wife has
Yeah.
his album; she's all about him back in the day. But
Oh yeah.
He's a handsome fella. I'll give him that. But I didn't know that the Sean Combs or the P Diddy
Yeah.
is the one that brought him up when he was like 12. I did not know that. And Bieber, I just kind of feel bad for because, as annoying as he can be, of course, keep in mind he was a little kid. Just keep
Literally.
that in mind, little kid. But
Yeah.
the thing about Bieber is, you know, he's dumb as a brick. I mean,
Yep.
really, really stupid, like Katy Perry level stupid. And he knows it though. He's self-aware, right? He's
Yeah.
self-aware that he's a moron. He knows he is. So
Yep.
that's even makes it worse though,
Yep.
right? Although
Yep.
a
I
lot,
do have to say,
yeah,
aside from Mr. Diddy and Mr. Bieber,
yeah.
uh, I think Justin has somehow managed to get away from most of the really, really weird stuff. At least from what I understand.
Well, now
I don't
that
know
his career
if
is
he already
over, he's
got.
trying to find God. That's true.
Yeah, he's in that post superstardom phase of being famous
Yeah,
where a lot of
yeah.
them end up, and he just milks his audience now forever, right? He knows his audience isn't ever going to get any bigger. This is his audience, and then that's fine. Uh, like Elvis did. And that's
Yeah.
fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
But
Make
Elvis
make
made
your
a
money.
comeback though.
Cool. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Um, but my point is, I think he was able to get away from a lot of the really really weird stuff. And there was a lot of like conspiracy theories around Justin that he
Yeah.
was trying to tell the world what was going on without actually telling them from
Well,
some
he
of his
had that
videos
stroke,
back in the
right?
day.
Well, of course, they said it was
Yeah.
from the COVID injection. I don't
Yes.
know, but he had the left side of his body has stroked, so his music career is over.
Yeah. Pretty
It
much.
is
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah, but I mean, hopefully, he's someone around him had even the slightest sense of responsibility, and he has money for life. You would think, you
I
know,
would imagine. I mean, holy
these
cow,
people
he
can be
was
done, dude.
humongous for a decade. Humongous.
Yeah, but MC Hammers exist, dude.
That's true.
They do exist.
So do Elvis's. He
So do
got
Elvis's.
fleeced.
Yeah.
No, the
Well, I
music
mean,
industry is pure, unadulterated, unfiltered, unpasteurized evil. There is
yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
filtration of any description in the music industry. They are wicked to their core. If there is no devil, they are gladly trying to become it. Like they're auditioning for the role. These guys are just monsters. What they do to these musicians, and it's been an open secret for like ever that there was obvious serious degeneracy going on, whether it's sex for deals or part of the deal was they had to have sex with these people and da 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 da, just
Right.
all sorts of just disgusting, completely amoral behavior from these people. And it's interesting watching the chickens had started to come home to roost, largely because you had some of the bigger stars finally break away from them, like Taylor Swift, at least to some degree, and then you had other ones who are independents but are humongous, and they sell outrageous numbers of records to the point where
Yeah.
I remember
Good
one of
for
the
them.
guy he was complaining that Billboard didn't believe him. They didn't believe he sold this many copies of this CD. And eventually, I don't think they ever even did. I don't think they ever caved Billboard, even though he sent them everything they could want to prove it. They still kept saying there's no way. But my point is, the internet has made the direct market for everything
Right. That's true.
sustainable and profitable.
Yep.
And these middlemen that control all the levers of power, or at least they used to, are largely being pushed out of the way, and they don't like it. And I
Mm.
wouldn't be surprised if part of what's happening to Mr. Combs right now is them cleaning house. Right?
Maybe.
They're cleaning up house, and he's got to go. Nothing may even come of it from him. He might be fine. Maybe they just find a big rug and tuck it up under there.
Maybe.
But
But you
I
know,
don't know, man. This kind of smells a lot Epsteiny to me. A
it
lot of
does,
Epsteiny right
and
here.
it's interesting we mentioned that because, of course, it isn't DeSantis directly, but his government is releasing more of that information, right?
Yeah,
Even though the federal government has done everything it can to hide that, which is weird. Okay, but
interesting.
well, we might well see a connection on those lists to him.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why this is happening. Get
Could
out
be.
ahead of it.
Maybe they're finally going to arrest a client of Epstein's. Maybe one will finally get arrested. That'd
Oh
be
no.
amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, don't hold your breath. The elite are not held to the same standard as the rest of us.
Yeah,
You literally have FBI showing up to people's house if you make a meme.
yeah.
And
You said a mean thing
how
about
dare you?
Biden on the internet.
How dare you even?
How
Right?
dare you attack America's
Yeah,
grandpa?
yeah.
Yeah,
Alzheimer
that's where we're at.
grandpa, get it right.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
that's where we're
my
at now.
goodness. Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I still can't believe how many people are out there pushing for Biden's reelection. It's like, boy, you can't
I
be
was
more
just
transparent, can you?
I was just at a family thing, right? Because it is Easter. Happy
Yeah, happy
Easter,
Easter,
everybody.
by the way.
Uh,
I even have I should go ahead and start sharing my screen here. But
let's see it.
I even have a thing for you. I
Old
did a
Easter.
thing. Yeah, hold on a second.
Let's see what we got.
Okay.
How blasphemous is it? Let's see.
No, I thought it was the most generic thing I could find. Thank you. So
How
happy
much
Easter.
blasphemy are we about to see here?
No, it's. I literally tried to be mundane as incredibly mundane. I think I succeeded.
Oh,
Rabbits, rainbows, and colored eggs.
oh boy, look at this thing. Wait, for some reason it's not showing on. the Discord. I can see it on the YouTube though. That's weird. Anyway, um,
Oh, that's probably because I probably hit the wrong button. But
but I was
I'll fix it.
at Easter. You do family things typically, most
Right.
people, but this one was a whole debacle. But my mother-in-law's boyfriend. He's not. They're not married, so he's not my
There
father-in-law.
you go. There you go.
He There it is. Look at that pretty. Look at that beauty.
Yeah.
I got to hear a whole earful about how Trump shouldn't be allowed to run for president, and because
The mother's
January
boyfriend.
6th, basically, yeah,
Yeah.
because January 6th, basically, he started that is all he said that,
Did
uh,
he?
and it was just a whole
Okay.
big thing. I just shook my head. I'm like, you just can't. What do you do with this? This level of indoctrination is preposterous.
Well,
There's nothing you can do. You can't argue against it, right? No matter how hard you try, he's just going to double down.
right.
So the only, in my opinion, and I still stand by it, the only solution is we got to separate from each other, or we're going to kill each other
Right.
eventually.
Well,
Eventually, we're going to be like, all right, that's enough, and it's going to get violent, and it already has in many
right.
places all over the country multiple times. But yeah, there's
Well,
no
yeah,
point.
it
I didn't even
just will
argue
get
with him. I
worse.
just let him go.
Well, sure,
Let
but
him
I
go.
mean, seeing as you're not a spring chicken, your mother is certainly too old to be dating.
It's
And
not my mother. It's
therefore,
my wife's mother.
oh, your wife's mother, but way too old to
Yep.
be dating. And therefore, yeah, just leave her in her peaceful datingness.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, believe it or not, Chester, I'm not that argumentative in in public or in person as much, and it's
I'm
simply because
sarcastic.
I am too. It's simply because most people are really stupid. Like they don't. It hurts. It physically hurts to hear people think they're making arguments, and they're just emoting. You're just telling me what you feel, and it's
Uh,
just I just ugh,
I just tell
it makes
them
me
no.
ill.
No.
That's pretty much what needs to happen. Just no. Just
Yeah.
stop. Just knock it off.
Yeah. Well, I'm also in Japan, so I don't really run into that, right?
Yeah.
You don't see political arguments here. You just don't. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
people just don't talk about our politics. And not saying this government is any better than any other, because they're all, there are some that are certainly worse, but they're all government,
It's better
right?
than ours.
But well, you know
It's
what I
better than
mean.
America.
I don't
Yeah.
know that that's true, but the system here is interesting. Basically, the politicians do their best to make it seem that they don't exist,
Yep.
and then no one talks about it. So it works, you know.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But that generic Easter bunny I found is pretty special. But I really think that this should be our Easter bunny from now on. So yeah, he
Well, he's
seems
not trans,
he's
Chester. He's
no.
not trans, so you can't. Easter is now Trans Day. You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see that. Is it because of the rainbow? They did steal that. Boy, things
America's.
get stolen, man.
It's always Christian things too, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Curious.
Oh yeah.
America's grandpa,
Yeah.
old Alzheimer Papa there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't do it, but he signed the thing. Somebody wrote up a thing, which
Well,
he's done
someone
every
signed
year
it.
since he's
Yeah.
been president, celebrating and proclaiming Trans Day of Visibility on March 31st.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, that this year that's Easter, right?
Right.
March
Right.
31st is
Right.
Easter for some reason. I don't
Yeah.
know
Well,
why
the
it
color
was
matches.
early.
So
Yeah, but it angered a lot of Christians, including
sure.
myself included. Even though I don't consider myself a Christian, but it's still annoying. Like you couldn't have just not this year. You couldn't have just or at least make the exact same thing for Easter. Like you got like a million trans people on the planet and 2 billion Christians. Why are you pandering to this nothing group of people? I mean, statistically, they're
Yeah. Well,
not
to piss
significant.
off the other 2 billion. That's why. Right.
Apparently, that's
No,
this so-called Catholic. And what we got on his Twitter
oh,
was just one little blurb
none
about
of them are.
basically happy Easter.
I would
Yeah, I know.
believe Trump to be actually religious more than any other one of them.
Me too.
And I don't really believe that much either.
No,
But I,
Trump's no. Trump's an
actually, I
atheist.
think Trump's got a little bit of deism in him. I think a little bit.
He might be a deist,
I
but
think
he's
he's got a
definitely
little
not
bit. Yeah.
religious in
But you
any
know
way.
what I mean.
The
These
religion Trump
people,
worships is Trump.
yeah, but Trump doesn't get up there and ride the coattails of it either, right? where the rest of them do. I mean, actually,
Well, you
I'm not.
say that.
Well, okay, I probably could be proven
Did you
wrong.
see what he just recently did?
No.
He and his team started marketing and selling uh, a Bible that has a
Oh, right.
Constitution companion to
Yeah,
it.
what's wrong
Yeah,
with that? Every single penny goes to
nothing.
charity. Every single penny.
Nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with him doing it at all, but he's obviously riding the coattails a little bit. Like that's all I'm saying.
Maybe,
It's obvious that's what
maybe,
he's doing. It's good
maybe
marketing.
that's
It's
true.
all. It's brilliant marketing actually, and it's not even that expensive. Some people are like $60 for a Bible. Yeah, that's about what a Bible costs. That's not even. That's not that much. A good Bible, a quality made Bible, is a lot of money. They charge you a lot of money for all that.
I've never bought one.
Well, I used to. Well, I haven't bought many of them, but I bought a couple of them. I bought one for my father way back in the day, and it was. I went there, thinking, oh, maybe $20, whatever. No, 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 no. Not for a nice one. You're gonna pay some money for a Bible, uh,
Yeah,
because
they
they're
actually
made.
proved that, Ben.
They make quite a lot of. They make quite a lot of different grades of Bible, right? Like you have just your cheapo Bible that you'll find usually at a church that you can read for while there's preaching or whatever. And then they'll have very, very nice study Bibles, which are big and thick, and they got really nice page. They got the gold filigree, and they got all
Mm.
the. They
Hmm.
got some imagery in them, and da da
Sure.
da da. Those will be pricey, and those are designed typically to last for generations, right? Your
Oh,
family Bible.
my grandmother had my grandparents had a big old huge Bible, big thick one that had
Yeah,
gone back that came from Ireland with them, and that was 400 years ago.
yeah. Yeah. Now, if
So I
you
mean,
made that to that same caliber today, that'd probably be like a $400 book.
yeah, no,
Something like
probably. Yeah, I wouldn't be
that.
shocked by that. But no, what I meant was, uh, you know, sure. He was like, oh, get the Christian, cement the Christian vote with me promoting a
Right.
Bible. Nah, okay, fine. It's pretty politician thing. He's learning. But what I meant by that was they attacked it and like, oh, Trump's just making money off Christians and Bibles and stuff. But I'm sure there's still production costs and things like that. But that literally is a charitable thing.
I doubt
So
he's making a lot.
he's
The
not making
problem
any
is
money
they
on it.
poison the well,
Yeah.
and now people think that's how he's making his money to pay off his legal
No, it's
debts, and that's just not
ridiculous. He
true.
he he
Yeah.
he he went and made $5 billion just by bringing
Yeah.
his Truth
That's right.
Social public.
Yeah. Which
But
is
yeah, which
it's
is genius.
silliness to think. Which was the plan all along. That's why he won't go back to Twitter.
But keep in
Um.
mind that's just for a bond though,
Yeah.
because this will get overturned in court for
Well, it
sure.
already got cut in half. The amount. It's
Yeah, but
still the amount's
he'll
still
appeal
way
it
too
and it'll
much.
get turned over. This is just
Yeah.
about getting the appeal. He has to pay the bond. Um,
Yes.
but because this is, and I know our boy Ben over here is going to agree with me,
Uh
absolutely ridiculous politicization of stuff. It's just
I
unbelievable.
agree.
No, he's not making money off it. They went after it and tried to prove it, and they found that he wasn't, dude.
Well, he
But
didn't,
then
as
again,
far as
he
I
does
know.
things like that. Like he didn't take any money for being
Yes,
president either.
that's what
He
I was going to
does
say. Yeah,
stuff like that. It's politically motivated, Ben. Of course it is.
he doesn't.
Uh,
He genuinely doesn't need money. You can people can argue back
no.
and forth how much he's worth, this or that or whatever, but the reality of it is, the Donald Trump brand will make him more money than any of us will ever see in our lifetimes
Oh,
if he
sure.
did nothing else but sell a cup with his name on it.
Right.
That's
Well, he
how big
sells
his brand
stamps
is.
with his name on it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he can print money pretty much at will, and he
Yeah.
proved it because
Yeah.
he just made $5 billion or whatever it is. Like
Yeah.
that's obscene.
Well, another thing
So,
I find funny is you keep getting the cult of personality thrown on Trump. And
yep.
I mean, there are certainly some sycophants amongst his followers, to be fair. But in
Hmm.
general, it's just another example of lefties not understanding the meaning of a word. Because a cult of personality, the people we're talking about with that are like Xi Jinping, Stalin,
Mm.
Mao,
Mhm.
these kind of leaders who the entire government is creating this cult of personality around them to where you can't speak against it. That's what a cult of personality is, right? Trump, where
Yep.
he has some fanatical fans for sure, that is not
Yeah.
even close to being a cult of personality because a lot of people who would vote for him, including little old me, think he's a bit of a a
Douche
noisy
guy?
braggart. A little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, a little bit. The only reason I won't vote for him, the main reason anyway, is he's not good enough for me. I don't want somebody to go in there and be a New York Democrat from 25 years ago. I want somebody who's ready to start putting heads on pikes because
Yeah,
that's
it's
what
too
needs to
bad
happen.
DeSantis isn't more interesting. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's just dull. He's a dull
he
person.
is. I mean, because
Uh,
obviously he's really good at governmental management. He is good at that.
yeah,
It's quite
yeah,
clear, right? But he's a little bit lefty too. But to be honest, I don't really care because I'm probably more in the libertarian camp than anything, which would be
yeah.
moderate, right? So
Well, in a normal world, yeah, it would
well,
be.
you know
I
what
don't
I
know about
mean.
anymore.
So I don't really
Yes.
necessarily have trouble with people who have lefting leaning agendas. Um, but then again, but I agree with Reagan. I know that's shocking.
Oh God,
No, I
not
know,
Reagan. Don't
I know.
Reagan me. Don't Reagan me.
I'm going to Reagan you, because there were the few things Reagan did I actually did like. The number
Yeah,
one thing, he was incredibly lovable and entertaining.
he was.
He was.
He was a cult of personality by the end, for
Well,
sure.
yeah,
I
but
would say more so. I
cult.
mean, he won. Look how much he won the country in what was
Yeah, but
'84.
you got to understand, cult of personality it means that you're required to love the person or else.
Well, sure, sure, sure. I mean, like colloquially, he was
All
more
right,
so than
fine. He
Trump in
was
my
charismatic,
estimation.
yeah, and
Yeah,
he was lovable, and he rose America's standing in the world for a bit there. But
yeah,
then again, Bill Clinton did that too, because
yeah.
even though there's many things Bill Clinton did that hurt us quite a bit, mainly NAFTA, but also
NAFTA.
tapping your phones and things like that came out of Bill Clinton, right?
Yep.
But you can't deny that the dude was lovable as hell. I mean,
Yeah,
Bill Clinton,
charming.
man.
Southern charmer is what he was.
Yeah, he was.
Ask all the
Uh,
women around him.
his wife was annoying as hell, and that didn't
Oh
change.
God.
But
Oh yeah.
Bill, he was very very lovable. But Reagan, um, Reagan actually made a point. I don't know where he got it from. I'm sure he got it from somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Someone told it to him, or he read it, or something like that. But he made the argument that this
But
whole right left thing is incorrect. It's
mm,
not what it is. He said a conservative is someone who conserves. Therefore, these people,
allegedly, yeah.
I'm just saying, technically on paper, right?
Yes.
Therefore, they are non-extreme in any way
Yeah.
because they conserve, right? Therefore, everything is actually above it. See, he didn't see it as being right or left. He saw it as conservatism as being the baseline, which I agree
Mm,
100% with, and everything
mm,
above that being the extreme, no matter where they stood on it. I don't care whether you consider them to be far right, which is kind of a strange thing to think about, or far left. Everything is an extreme above the baseline of conservatism, and I've always agreed with
mhm.
that. I think, yeah, that's actually true.
Well, there's a little bit of an argument for that worldview, especially when you think about it. What is the number one function of a human life? It's to conserve their life, right? It's the objective is to not die. Right? That's your
Right.
object. You're going to one day anyway, but the objective is to try and prevent that from
Be
happening. So you could
sensible,
take it to a
responsible. Yeah.
very, yeah, very simple, very basic level in that your number one function as a person is to conserve your own life. Um, whether or not you're capable of doing that, that's a different argument. But that should be your number one primary goal is survival.
Right.
And there's very little that is immoral to do in order to survive. There's very little. So from that point of view, I think that's probably correct. I like the idea, the theory of instead of doing a straight line, doing like a conal shape. And basically, the conal shape, the one point, that the end of the point is to all the way to the left, which is like full on communist totalitarianism. Then
Right.
at the top, you have basically a form of aristocratic monarchy, this sort of old school governments that largely are supposed to
Or
be gone,
kind of like
but
the plutocracy
yes,
that we have now. Yeah.
yep. And then down at the bottom, you have a libertarian style anarcho capitalism or something similar to that.
Yeah.
And then everything's kind of somewhere in the middle of those. And the farther you drift towards the point is typically seen as a negative outcome for your people because historically speaking, the more ravenous the state becomes in its pursuit of whatever it's pursuing, doesn't even have to be communism, it could be anything. Uh, the people suffer. And that is true throughout all of pretty much all of time in history. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think anybody would even attempt to make an argument, a positive one, a logical one, that it'd be better to live under Chinese totalitarianism than American liberalism. Some people have tried this, but I'm like, that's silly. That's a silly comment.
Yeah,
There
well, they're
is
kind of
benefit.
the same thing anyway. So,
Well, they're becoming that. Yeah, modern American liberalism is definitely in love with the
well,
Chinese
because it's
fascist
Marxism.
state.
It's Marxism.
Yes.
And with China, there's a funny thing for me. I've always, got a chuckle at, because, well, no, because the Chinese government are run by a bunch of morons. But then again,
Yeah.
communist governments are always run by a bunch of morons, right? People
Yes.
that can't
They're
do, they
communists.
just take, right? Uh, but
They're
but no,
communists.
they're communists, right? But the funny thing with them, like I said, it makes me chuckle is this: they go on and on and on and on about how great China is, how China is better
Mm,
than all the other humans. Chinese things are just simply better. Other humans are less. They're this extreme in their racism. Understand that, right?
of
And
course,
of
yes.
course, these days it's like it was during Mao's time. China was getting better. Keep that in mind.
It
But
was.
it's now the cult of personality of she is a real thing. Everything is
Yes.
she based. Your dictionaries are the dictionary of she. You have to read his thoughts. You're supposed to read them on a daily basis. I'm sure they'll enact mandatoriness of that soon. But it's become that extreme with she, right? Where it's
Yes.
literally a straight up cult of personality. But as they go on about how great China is and just how lucky you are to be Chinese because the rest of the humans are a lesser thing, right? At the
Hmm.
same time, they are using a German Jew loser's ideas who never owned a home. He's Bernie Sanders, basically. Um, um,
Hey, at least Bernie got himself elected.
yeah,
I mean, he
fair.
did.
That's fair.
He
He
did
didn't
do
do
that.
anything like that. Well, in late in life, Bernie sat on that couch for a long
Yeah,
time. But
he did.
Karl Marx didn't do shit. He's literally a
Nothing. He
loser.
wrote some books.
But
Wrote
my
some books.
point
That's what
being
he did.
is, he's a foreigner.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well, if you actually go, and I'm sure you know this, but if you study the revolution in China, it was very heavily influenced by foreign Europeans and Jews who
Well,
were
Lenin
Bolsheviks,
was a
basically.
Jew sent in by the
Yeah.
German government to undermine the Russian aristocracy.
Man,
Yeah, and
why is
boy
Germany
did he
always
succeed.
screwing with Russia? Just leave it alone. Holy shit.
The
Every
West, the
time,
West hates the
every
Russians too.
time they poke the bear, and the bear
Yeah,
gets mad, and then the bear goes and kills a bunch of people, and then they go, "Oh, the bear's a bad guy." Like, how
well,
about just stop poking the bear?
right,
Can we
and
just stop poking the bear?
I wonder if something happened in history we don't know about, Mm,
Uh
or
oh.
um, it's just convenient. Oh, those primitives over there in the east, we can blame everything on them. Kind of
Yeah.
like certain people just blame it on the blacks, even well, it might be their fault anyway.
I
But
like that, Ben. That's pretty accurate. Yeah, they're the crossfitters of the political world. Yeah, the communists. Yeah, that makes sense.
that's fair.
Very
Yeah,
sensitive. You can't say anything negative around them or to them or about them or their chosen thing, or else you're a bad person automatically, and you
I see.
need to be treated disparagingly. Basically, they're bullies, and they're very weird bullies because if you go back, even
Oh, they're
like
definitely
back
bullies.
in the
Yeah.
day, back in the day, the communists have always been weirdos. Always. Not like, oh, well, they just have different ideas. No, 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 no. Freaks. Always have been. For whatever reason. I think Marx might have been the most normal one of all of them, of the communist thinkers, and he was probably a homosexual, for being honest. He was
Oh,
living with a man his whole life and
I don't
never
really
worked a
care about
job.
that, but
That's pretty weird. Well, back then though, that especially like nowadays, yeah, nobody really cares. Most people don't care, but back then, people cared a lot. They weren't going to tolerate these sorts of things. So even if he wasn't, he still lived a very strange life, regardless. A lot of these people, a lot of these commies are just weirdos, man. They're just strange,
yeah, no,
strange
I agree.
people.
And Marxism has become I would use the word cliche, but I don't
Yeah.
know what other word to use. It's just it's a
Yeah.
joke of itself. But and if it weren't so dangerous, we just laugh at it. But it is
Right.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Although we've seen most of the communist regimes that, and keep in mind there were far more than you think there were. Far more.
Oh yeah.
Everyone just thinks about China and Russia, and maybe Cuba comes in your head. But dude, South Africa had to deal with it. A lot of African nations, all throughout Mesoamerica and South America, had to deal with it. I would argue
Yep.
that Castro's boy up there in Canada is pushing it now. Um,
He seems to be trying,
Southeast Asia, the whole world had to deal with that threat. Um, it's
and he's a
interesting to
powerful drug.
well, yeah,
It's a
but
powerful addiction.
it is, and it's interesting to me. The only place I know in a true democracy where
Mm.
communism is still allowed to exist is Japan. But everyone just kind of chuckles when you mention it. They
Well, I
have
don't
no actual
know if
power, but they
how.
do exist and they're allowed to exist, which as
Yeah,
they should
they're
be.
they're mostly a joke. And well, the I don't know if he was a communist. I know he was a socialist. The young man who stabbed the gentleman. I can't remember his name now. My mind's
Abe, well,
blanking
Abe's
on
a
the.
socialist too, though.
Yeah, but
Anyway, I
the
get your point. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure, unless this has changed, I'm pretty
you're talking
sure
about shooting or
Norway is
stabbing. I don't know.
stabbed him with a straight up dagger. Um,
I don't know that one.
Hang on, I'll look it up in a minute. But I'm pretty sure Norway is still technically a communist state. They have their communist party controls the government and has for a long time. I'm pretty sure. But it's
Well,
not Norway's not really a country. Sorry, Norway. You wouldn't exist if
those
it
are
wasn't
my
for America
ancestors,
protecting you.
sir.
Yeah, but they're not a country. They were a country, and then they signed up for NATO and became a vassal state of America. That's what they are.
True.
That's what
Yeah,
all of NATO
that's true.
is, and everybody knows it, but we don't call it that because I don't know, somebody's feelings would get hurt. But that's the reality of it. Like these most of Europe is effectively vassals of the US. And I'm not saying there's necessarily anything wrong with that. I mean, powerful empires have always vassalized foreign lands. It's not a big
So
deal.
can we call the
Um,
P and Diddy a communist? Can he be a communist? He's our this is our P Diddy
hmm,
Mao, today. So
P Diddy Mao. Oh man, even Mao doesn't deserve that.
yeah, he does. Oh yeah, he does. Mao is like one of the
Yeah,
worst humans
he's
in
pretty
history,
much the
dude. Yeah.
worst human of all time. Yeah, I guess we could get. There's not too much he doesn't deserve.
Yeah.
Um, no, but yeah, Mr. Diddy. I don't know about his communism or his political takes. I think he only cares about money and power. He's very much, even if he doesn't believe it, which I think he does, but he
Right.
definitely plays into the idea that he believes in the Saturnist nonsense.
Oh, he's
Um,
100% involved. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah. Sure.
yeah,
Absolutely.
100% seems to
Well,
be on board with it. I
you
don't
know,
even know if they see. I actually think they do believe all of that stuff, but I don't think everybody that's in their little club does. I think they just do it because they think that's what they have to do to be in the little club.
Well,
Um,
keep in mind that these ultra secret, groups supposedly, I mean, it's all bunk, right? Let's be fair.
yeah,
But these super secret ones like that, they often will fall back onto the Key of Solomon, and I'm not going to discuss it here because YouTube would literally have a fit because most of them know exactly what it is.
yeah,
But you go look it up, and they use this. I don't. These days they might even videotape it. But the idea that we all know what you did, so therefore you're in the club whether you like it or not,
right.
type of thing, right?
Blackmail, basically. Yeah.
Blackmail, yeah, potential. And but the interesting thing with him, now I've heard these for years about Sean Combs, the homosexuality thing, which once again, if it's all consensual, I'm not. I know a lot of you guys have a problem with it, but I don't really give a shit
I
who
don't have a
people sleep
problem with
with.
it. I just don't think it needs to be promoted.
Well,
That's my only issue.
that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just it doesn't really mean anything to me so much as long as it's consensual, right? But
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of things about him over the years, and of course, in the accusations that have come up in the lawsuits, it's instigated as well. Again,
Hmm.
in this regard, but a lot of it is female. A lot of it
Yeah.
is female. So I'm kind of wondering if it's more of him, forcing young boys with women than it is
Could be.
more of the gay stuff. I'm kind of curious.
Well, this is why, Chester, I said you should have watched that that Cat Williams interview from about a month ago, whatever it was, because he has a line in there where he said the main reason why I don't really do a lot in Hollywood anymore is because I've been keeping this, basically keeping his rectum from being violated.
Yeah, no, I saw the
Um,
clips. But the
yeah,
problem with me and Cat Williams is he comes off as an absolute moron to me. He's just
well,
not a clever dude. I mean, he's clever enough to be funny,
but
I suppose, but he just seems like a
but
moron to me, dude.
then at that in that same thing he says, and something to the effect of, and Diddy wants to party, right? That's why he doesn't. That's why he's not invited to these things, because he's not going to give up his butthole, basically.
Right.
Um, and I don't know, man. There's just too many rumors around him about doing that stuff, about forcing
Maybe
these young, typically minors, by the way, into sexual situations with him. And
once
there's a
again the
lot of
key of
young men
Solomon,
who've done
right?
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um
It's disgusting stuff. If he is guilty of it, which it honestly looks like he is, if he is guilty of these sorts of things, I hope our justice system maybe finally does its job for once. That'd be
come
great.
on now.
One of these
It's
people
nothing gonna
go
happen to
down.
this dude. Nothing.
I know. Maybe
Nothing.
someone will shoot him. Can we? Can I call
Well,
for that if he
no,
rapes
can't
children?
no, we get
He
in
rapes.
trouble. We're not allowed.
He rapes children.
Yeah, no, fair. No, fair. No, I
Like
don't.
at some point, justice has to be served. Somebody's got
True.
to serve it
Well,
at
seeing as
some point.
Ben is here, now we have a source of authority that can help answer
Uh
some
oh.
questions for us. Ben, you're going to have to
He
come in
knows a
here
lot
and
about
help me
Diddy.
out, Ben, because I don't really know what a Puff Daddy is. I've heard his name. Everyone tell me he's super rich and successful, but I've never heard a song by him. I don't know who he supports. Well, now I guess the Ursher. Ursher was successful. Why don't you just
Mm.
call yourself Usher? What's the whole Ursher thing, dude?
I
Right?
think he does call himself Usher. Why do you
Well,
keep
no,
calling him
I've
Ursher?
heard everyone call him Ursher, Ursher, Ursher,
No,
Ursher.
Usher. Maybe they were, they were indulging in some of Diddy's
Oh,
confectionaries,
maybe,
Chester, and they couldn't
maybe,
speak.
yeah. Uh-oh, he says. Ben says, because I really don't know. Can someone name a single song by this guy? Anybody?
I genuinely can't.
I
And
can't.
what's weird is he came up in when I was actually listening to that kind of music on a regular basis,
Yeah,
that
there's
style
some
of
hip
rap
hop
and
that's
stuff.
cool. I mean,
And
but I mean, well, think
I got
about it.
nothing.
Think about Dr. Dre. We definitely know some songs from him, right?
Oh yeah.
Think about Ice Cube, Ice T,
Yep.
even boy, going way back. Although Ice
Oh yeah.
T turned out to be a pretty fair actor. So did Ice Cube. Interesting.
Yeah.
We can name songs by them, right? Eminem, of course. Snoop Dogg. I mean, there's even the Jay Z fella. I've heard a
Yep.
song by him.
Yep.
One,
Yep.
and it wasn't
Old Jay
very
Z. Yep.
good. So he's another dude I don't get why he's popular either. But he's rich, dude. He
Well,
has more money than Beyonce. And I'm like, huh? Because Beyonce, it's not my shtick, but I get it. I get it. I mean,
right.
she can sing, and she's an entertainer. She puts on an amazing show, from what I understand. So I get why Beyonce is wealthy and famous, but Jay Z's way richer. How? You
He,
know,
as far as I understand it, he does a lot of the business side, and
like
that's probably
the
why.
P Diddy's. Yeah.
Right, right. Hopefully not like exactly like. Hopefully there's some difference, but yes, I would prefer there to be less rape in the world, Chester. Call me crazy.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
anti-rape.
true.
That's
That is
my
true.
radical position.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of that, there was a movie that just came out recently. I can't recall the name of it, but it's about this lady in Japan to put out a movie. Now, in Japan, if you get the ARD, right,
Yeah,
and bad things happen to you, most Japanese ladies won't speak about it publicly. They might well go to the police, or family will get involved, and things will get sorted out. Right. But then again, Japan kind of sorts a lot of things out behind closed doors instead of out in
yeah,
public, which, to be fair, I kind of prefer. Right.
yeah.
And I'm not talking vigilante justice. Well, maybe a little bit. But anyway, she did, in a way, the unthinkable. She came out right in public and talking about this guy, raped her, right? On and on and on. And
Right.
of course, now it's a movie, and you get a lot of these sycophants that are like, "Oh my God, this horrible thing happened to this lady in Japan." Now, the reality is, most people in Japan, most men probably won't even give an opinion on it. To be fair, because it's just a
Mm.
topic that they don't interact with. Women are going to have an opinion on it, but it's very interesting how the lines cut. My daughter, when it happened, this was years ago, she was a young woman, got her head full of college feminism and all that kind of silly. Even here in Japan, it's not as extreme, but they have it. So when she
Mhm.
heard it, she was furious. How dare this guy rape this girl and force her and yada yada yada. But her mother and pretty much any other woman I know that talked about it doubted her severely, because from their point of view, it wasn't about getting justice for injustice; it was about getting famous. Right. So
Right.
it is interesting how cultures deal with those things in different ways. Where in the West they scream it to the rooftops, and therefore equating to 95% of all rape accusation not being able to obtain a guilty verdict. 95%.
Right.
Now, I put it
They
like
don't
that
meet
very
the threshold.
specifically because a lot of them are false accusations. That's true. But some of them, they just don't have enough evidence. I don't want to be an asshole about it. But it's a simple
That's
fact:
true.
95% of it cannot be brought to a guilty conviction. It's actually closer to 96. So
Right.
that's really high. That's
Yes.
really high, right?
Um, it's one of the reasons I advocate for uh, basically we'll call it street justice because it's very hard to get justice for that. Trust me, I know. For that particular crime without
Right.
a lot of evidence, and we want the situation. We want
Yeah.
the justice system to
Yeah.
require a lot of evidence.
Thus
That's
the
a good
caveat,
thing.
right? Yeah.
But but there are times where that's a problem. And but the other issue is then of course you have women who lie. Women who will say this guy raped me
Right.
because they regretted it, or this guy did this and the guy never even talked to her before, doesn't know who she is,
Right.
or
It's a
this kind of
problem.
stuff
Yeah.
that happens. Or they were in a relationship for a while and then allegedly one night he did this, that, or another thing, and there's just
It's
no
a
way to
weapon that
prove
women use, dude. It
that.
just is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. However, I do think that it's as much as it might be distasteful to a lot of people, I agree with Mr. Heinlein that violence is the supreme authority from which all other authority is derived,
Uh,
and that is true. All authorities in the universe use violence to enforce their authority,
that's true.
even God.
Yeah, it's true.
So there is no getting away from
Oh,
this.
God uses a lot of violence.
Oh yes, great violence.
Yeah.
There's no getting away with this. There's no getting away from this, I should say. That violence is actually a moral good when it's doing moral good,
Yeah.
when it's balancing the scale. And
No,
these
no, it,
rapists,
it can be.
you want
Yeah.
to stop rape, you want to get rid of it.
Well,
Um, you want to genuinely get rid of it, start hanging them again.
yeah,
Done.
that's fine, but do keep in mind it is something, it's super rare though. It is super
Yes,
rare.
even in
People kind
America,
of forget some of the
it's
time
super
the
rare.
topics when they get
In
brought up.
Japan, it's even more rare. Um,
Well,
but
they're
the
not
one of the
having any
reasons,
sex at all here. It's the problem.
yeah, that's a different problem. One of the reasons that it's as bad as it has been in certain places is because you're bringing in people who don't respect your culture or your women at all. You're bringing in people. That's one. You're two. You become so lax on actually punishing crime because you think you can fix these people. Very feminine. Think I can fix them. I can fix them. No, you can't. When somebody decides they're going to rape somebody, they're done. There's no coming
Yeah,
back.
it's
I
pretty
don't even
extreme,
care.
dude. It's
I don't
pretty
even
extreme.
care if you got an example of a guy who later came back. I don't care. How about we just side on the we err on the side of sense and logic and statistics. The reason why a lot of these people are multiple offenders and the reason why recidivism is so high is because once somebody has decided they're going to violate another human being, not the law, they're going to violate a person either with
Yeah.
violence or sexual violence. That is a decision that you cannot unmake.
It
That
seems
your
so, doesn't it?
brain
Yeah.
just stays there from now on. And maybe some people can, sure, great, we'll talk to those people, they can stay in a cage. The rest of them gotta go.
Yeah.
It's just that simple,
The
and that's what Japan does. They go.
No, no, the
See ya.
Japan will deal with it. They don't talk about it, but they deal with it. That is
Yes.
true, as you should. But the thing with when we're talking about violence, because they are different types of violence. But
Yeah.
it isn't something that seems to get in your head. And I know with violence, like we see in the streets in, like say Baltimore or Detroit or LA or something like that, it's, once you realize that the average human, if they actually did fight back, it would be way more difficult for you. But the average human
Hmm.
just doesn't fight back, right? Which is what one of the first things I learned when I was very young and started becoming a bouncer. Because being a bouncer isn't really about fighting. It's about, crowd control is really what it is, right? But you have to be able to fight in the situation. And one of the first things they teach you, well, at least the person who taught me, is that the average person might bark, but they don't want to actually be in a physical confrontation, and they'll do anything they
Correct.
can to get out of it. If you're willing to make that physical confrontation, just willing to do it, you actually don't have to necessarily be very skilled. It's just that you are capable of making that choice, and most
Yes.
humans aren't. And it's a very true thing. No matter how whether you
Killer instinct.
you're right, whether lies on this side or the other side, and you can be taught that. But once you do it, and you realize how soft the humans are, even like I said, if they actually fought back, it would be way more difficult. But
Yeah.
people don't, right? And once you're
Right.
taught
Or
that
they
and you
will
learn
very
that,
meekly. They will very meekly, and then they'll give. That'll be it.
yeah, yeah, it's
Um.
it's it's not
Yep.
many. But I'm saying
No.
that this is very true. Now, from my side of it, it was a protector thing, right? It was a guardianship type of action. But the criminality on the other side, it's the same mentality, I would say,
Right.
right? So, and,
Yep.
and
I agree.
yeah, yeah. So it's just once they get the taste for it, like, oh, I could do whatever I want because 90
Yep.
90+% of everybody isn't going to push back, you know?
Right. So the only solution to that is to push back, and you push
Right.
back by eliminating the really bad, especially the really bad ones from the gene pool and potential gene pool forever. It's something we used to understand, and even though we didn't allegedly have an understanding of genetics, at least that's what they try to tell us in the history book. But yet they took criminals out of the game,
Right.
out of the game. Done. See ya. You're gone. Um, there's a reason they did that, and it's because it works. You want your society to elevate, then you punish the bad people and promote the good people. And the best way to promote good people is to leave them alone. Let them do their stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and
The
that's
reason they're
why,
good people,
yeah, just let
yeah, they
people
don't
do
have to
do their thing.
you don't have to get up in their face
Yeah.
and
No,
demand they do X, Y, and Z because they're
no.
good people. They're
They're
just going to
just
do
gonna
X,
do what
Y,
they
and
do.
Z.
And most people are
Yeah.
good people because of fear. Fair enough. But you're
Yep.
right. The average person, just let them do their thing, they're gonna figure it out, right? But to kind of finish that thought up, where violence kind of comes from, and it's just something that once they understand that, oh, I can get away with it, it keeps going. I'll give you an example because when I was working as a bouncer, I'm in a place where alcohol is involved and boisterousness is a thing, right? But I
Right.
cannot tell you how many people who are trying to act like they wanted to start a fight, and I just roll their thumb over. That's it. I literally they're kind of flailing around. I just grab their hand and just get my thumb under their thumb and just roll it over. Right? It's not hard.
Yeah.
It take 5 seconds and I teach you how to do it. Right? And done. They're done. 100% done. Right? And
Yep.
when I was doing that job, when I would do something like a lock or a roll or some kind of thing like that, I you can see in their face that because they give up, and then you'll have those few that it's on now, right?
Yep.
Those rare few, right?
Yep.
But yeah, no, violence is a thing that
Warriors.
I think it's discovered is the word I would use.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think, and once you discover you have a penchant for it, it never goes away. Some of those people, a small minority,
possibly.
will channel that into other things, like they'll either become pro fighters if they really, really like it, or they'll just become creative with some other means, or they'll do a lot of physical labor to get that energy out of. But not all of them will. And the ones who don't find some outlet for that desire that is healthy and safe end up hurting people. And
They
there's
can,
not
yeah.
really much you can do about it once that, like we were saying, once the switch is flipped.
Once
It's
that's
flipped.
flipped, yeah, once they get a
Yep.
taste or realize it, yeah, it's like blood in the
Yep.
water. Can you explain to who a Mr. Almadale is? Almondale.
I cannot. I
I
can
don't know.
find out.
Roger's
Who's Mr.
mentioning something
Allmendale?
about some Almondale. I don't know what it is. But interesting. Well, let me go ahead and keep rolling with what we're doing here. And no, I don't want that one. What am I doing? I want this one. Okay, yeah, P Diddy's. All right, so I don't know. Let me see here. Sean Love Combs. His middle name has literally been changed to Love. He was born John. Okay, of course he was.
That's what I'm saying.
He's he's my wife's age, a few months younger. My wife's birthday's next week, by the way. We're going down to Miyazaki.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, yeah. Don't ask how old she
Uh-oh.
is. She's 35 eternally. Just so you know.
Yeah, that's.
Um,
I mean, she's Asian. You'd never know. So sure, why not?
well, fair enough.
Can
Yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, the face usually takes a very long time to go, and then when it does, it does. But the
Yeah.
good thing for me is, the girl keeps herself in great shape. But anyway,
Hmm.
also known by his stage names, the Puff Daddy, P Diddy, or the Diddy, is an American rapper. See, record producer and record executive, born in Harlem. Of course, he was, and raised in Mount Vernon. Now, those are slightly
Oh,
different places,
that. Yeah. There's a bit of a gap
a little bit.
between these two
Yeah,
locations
a little bit.
of a
Combs.
few $1 million a year income. That's your
Yeah.
gap, right?
He worked in Uptown Records. I worked at Uptown Records.
Uh-oh.
Well, no,
Maybe
I
you
did
knew
a
him.
lot. I worked for many New York-based. I was a session musician, right?
Right.
Yeah. And it's all union stuff, right? Anyway,
Hmm.
Combs has been credited with discovery and the culmination of artists such as the notorious B.I.G., Mary J. Blige, and Ursher. Okay.
Sure. There's no
Uh,
R.
Ursher. Now let me see here. I've heard Usher. Like I said, my wife had an album she really liked of him, and I get that. He's got a smooth voice and he's a good-looking fella. Mary
Mm,
J. I've heard her sing on many occasions. She's a what I call a working girl, and I don't mean that musically, right?
no.
She doesn't have the greatest voice, but she puts the effort in, right? And therefore
Hmm.
I respect Mary J. No, I don't know what a notorious Big is. Sorry.
Uh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say musician. I'll be nice.
Is he
From
a rapper? Because these other two are not
yeah.
rappers; they're R&B artists,
Yes, yes.
right?
Yep. Yep. The answer to your
Oh, you
question is yes.
refer to Jay-Z as Mr. Almondale. That's his real name. Yeah, I don't know anything about him either, dude. Although I have heard one song. It wasn't very good though. But then again, a lot of rap isn't good. Occasionally, you get something that has a groove or a feel or is just genius, like that absolute ass Eminem. I mean, he's an ass. That's a horrible human being. But
Yes.
he's a freaking genius when it comes to that
He's very good at
slam poetry.
making earworms.
Yeah, no,
Making
he's
those
good at
earworms.
it. Yeah,
Yep.
he's really good at it.
Yep.
But then on the other side of the spectrum, you got someone like Snoop Dogg. I
Yeah, I'd take
love the
Snoop every day.
musicality of his groove. It's
I'll take
cool,
Snoop every day over Eminem
smooth, man.
personally.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about pure poets, slam poetry, right? Which is what it is,
Yep.
right? Man, freaking Eminem is a genius. I mean, let's just be fair. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, I mean, there are plenty of things I've heard that I think are pretty cool, but I don't know what a Big is. Anyway, there's some unsolved murder with the Big. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see. Okay, this is all producer stuff. Uh, he has won 3 Grammy awards and been nominated 13 times for his music.
I'd imagine, or ones he produced probably, because he
Um,
was also a producer, right?
yeah, well, we got. I guess I don't really know.
But there's where he made his money was in his business stuff, his brands and
Clearly,
everything.
other
Yeah.
ventures, Combs Enterprises. Okay. A lot of death around him, huh? Charity
Interesting.
work. Yeah, well, okay. He's paying from one of those stars. Keep in mind, these things are not given to you. You pay for them.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, if you're nobody, they probably won't allow you to pay for it. But these things, any star you see in the Walk of Fame is paid for by either the person, a trust, or something, right? This
Right.
is not given. This is
Yeah, the
paid
city doesn't
for.
maintain those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And legal issues. He's got lots of going all the way back to 2017. This guy's been in trouble
Oh,
for
it
a
goes
while.
it goes back farther than that.
So he has 5 studio albums. Okay,
Yeah.
I just don't know his music. But whatever. Oh, and we have a list of the musics too. Okay, fine. But clearly a lot of money from a dude I don't know anything about. But he's a criminal. Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Allegedly.
Giving black people a bad name there, sir.
What a
John.
surprise. Yeah.
John. It's like
Mr.
Sandy.
Combs.
Everyone wanted to call her AOC. Her name's Sandy. Knock it off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what everybody called her before she
yeah. Don't
decided she was
feed
a
into that
politician.
shit, right? Anyway, let's
Uh-huh.
move on from the P Diddy. But man, what a freaking train wreck this guy is, right?
Yep.
Well, we'll see. I'm betting he won't get in it. He'll get slapped on the wrist and he'll have to pay a small fine, right? I have a
Probably.
feeling, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
but we'll see. Now this one I think is just wonderful. Now keep in mind that Scarlett Johansson is moving on and doing other projects, right? But she's not
Mhm.
doing the whole Marvel thing anymore. But we do have the star of the
A
Thunderbolts,
star. Wow.
star. Now
Look at that star power. Look at
now,
it. Look
keep
at the
in mind
aura.
the horror, yeah. But keep in mind, Thunderbolts are basically a rip-off of Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, as with all things Marvel and DC, some people do prefer Thunderbolts over Justice League. Excuse me, Suicide Squad. But they're constantly over the years just you know ripping each other off left and right, and one of them will be the more successful version, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you had Deadpool is basically a rip-off of what's his name there, like super
Deathstroke.
Deathstroke, yeah.
Yeah.
However, when they first come out with Deadpool, it was just a rip-off. But over time, they figured, hey, let's have him be zany and wacky and break the fourth wall, and therefore he became something different and arguably
Yeah.
more popular, right?
Oh,
Um,
I'd say it's definitely more
yeah, yeah.
popular. Especially with the movies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know what I mean, how it goes. But
Yes.
so we get into Thunderbolts, which all right then, maybe they'll do it better than Warner Brothers because the Suicide Squad kind of sucked. Although Polka Dot Man Forever, you know,
Yeah.
that
Polka Dot Man and Cena and was it Elba? Yeah. Doing their back and forth was
yeah,
pretty
that
good.
was
But the
kind of
rest
fun.
of it,
But mainly it was all about the Polka Dot Man for me,
yeah,
right?
Polka Dot Man was great.
But anyway, this girl, of course, is taking over for Johansson. Now, um, it's just another sawed off, no neck, ugly Hollywood girl, right?
Yeah, and she's
We get a lot of them. We get a lot of
like what
them. And
Chester, I have literally, personally, been with women prettier than her.
oh yeah, no, I
Unironically,
married
like
one.
she's
Yeah, for
not,
sure.
she's
Ask Ben.
not, she's not attractive. I'm
She's
sorry, she's
she's
not
a
ugly, but she's
well,
not
no, I
attractive.
would say she is ugly. Now I don't really care, I guess. Beyond the fact that the Black Widow should be attractive because she uses
Yes,
her feminine wiles.
she's
Uh,
called the Black
she is
Widow.
an
Yeah.
assassin. She is a Russian assassin. She
If
uses her
you wanted to
feminine
make a
wiles.
Russian assassin who's called like Siberia, then she can be whatever you want. She can
Right,
look
just
however
some
you
big
want.
honking, overly
Right.
muscled lady, sure. Female spies have been around forever. Matahari is a
Yes.
thing, right? But
Oh
what
yeah.
does a female spy do? They don't fight. They don't
No.
fisticuffs. What they do
No.
is get in bed with powerful men and gain information or kill them. I mean, this is
Or
what
both.
female spies do. They're not fisticuffers. But then again,
Or
your
they poison.
average spy or assassin, if they get into a situation where it becomes physical, they screwed up real bad.
Yeah, they're not very good at their job. Yeah.
Right. It's supposed to be completely
That's
unknown.
that's a lot of Hollywood,
It
thankfully,
is.
because or not
It
thankfully,
is. And
because
comic book.
actual spies typically don't get into too many fights.
No.
What people are thinking of is operatives, and those aren't necessarily the
Yeah,
same
but those
thing.
guys come
There
from the
are people,
Pentagon.
right?
The
There
pen.
are people who go into places looking for the combat ready, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
They're bad MFers.
Mm.
Spies are typically just really good liars. That's
Yeah, yeah, and
basically
they're
it. They're
they're they
really
e-
good
they
at
blend
lying.
in, right? But
Yeah.
they're not born. They're not Jason
No.
Bourne. They're not
No.
like that. And they're not James Bond either.
No.
That's all Hollywood, and it's fun. It's entertaining. But I know for
Yeah.
a fact because I have a family member that did this. The DOJ, Pentagon, right? If
Mhm.
you're CIA or NSA or any of those groups like that need a operative, an actual shooter, fighter, killer guy, the
Yes.
DOJ sends one. They're
That's
not
correct.
actually
They have
part
them.
of the CIA. Most of the CIA sit behind a desk in a computer, dude.
They have them, and they exist, and they are bad
Yeah, they
people. You don't
used to
want to
call
meet
them
them.
Delta Force. I don't know what they
Yeah.
call them now.
My my uncle was in Vietnam twice, and he said in Nam he was a Marine, and then his second time going over, they actually had a former Green Beret re-drill them for his squad
Right.
just to make sure they were still good to go. And he said he'd never seen anybody as dangerous as a Forest Recon Marine. These were literal Rambos, is what he said.
Yeah,
You know
no.
how they talk about Rambo? That's what
Oh
these guys
yeah.
were. They go in by
He's
themselves
specialist,
sometimes
dude.
and just take out whole teams of people just
Yeah.
by themselves. They're
Some
just
of those
bad
Green
people,
Berets,
bad
Black
dudes.
Berets,
Yeah,
Recon,
yeah,
Delta Force guys, SEALs, these people, they are assassin types.
yes,
Keep in mind the army, I mean they do fight, but most of they do is build stuff. I
yes.
mean, it's
They're
what
the
the army
builders.
mainly does. The real fighters in any kind of conflict are
Well,
the
the Army's
Marines.
for holding territory more than it is claiming it. The Marines are the ones who usually get in there
Right, and
first.
keep in mind that a Marine is a specialist. They're
Right,
not they're not like an army. They are more like a SEAL in a way.
correct.
They're specialists. But anyway, let's stick on with this lady who's whatever. I mean, she could be a nice person. It's just is this really what we want? This girl now. They
I just
tried to
don't get
pretty
it.
her up, and the failure of this is epically and
Ooh,
funny in my
a
opinion.
lot of makeup.
But a lot of makeup. She's got no neck. She's sawed off. Look at the frickin' handle of the door. Okay, look at the handle of the door. All right, look at the peephole of the door. This is how
Yep,
little she is. She's probably under 5 foot, dude. I'm not,
she could be.
but yet we're supposed to believe she's kicking anything's ass.
Unless there's
Please,
some
dude.
serious step right there to that door that we don't see in that picture, yeah,
No,
she's
no,
pretty
no,
short.
no. We saw her on screen with Scarlett, and Scarlett is a average-sized woman, like what,
Yeah,
5'3",
yes,
5'4", something like
probably,
that,
yeah.
right?
She's nothing
She's
nothing special,
average,
nothing
right?
terrible.
This
Right.
girl was like her little 12-year-old sister size.
That's
She's
crazy.
under 5 foot, I would guess. But nevertheless, this is the girl you're getting. She's got a ton of makeup on because her face is tore to hell.
Yeah.
Now, if she was playing something that wasn't supposed to be Black Widow, it wouldn't matter. No, no, she's not been. No, she's not.
They might say she
She's
is, but
she's
unless
not.
that door was the
She's
door to
not.
the gods, I
No,
don't think so.
no, we've seen her on film. She is a sawed off nothing, dude. And she's got that no neck. That's for those ones that are like under 5 foot, right?
Yeah,
She just
she's
walked
pretty
by a
short.
woman that's much taller than her.
But
But that doesn't
regardless,
matter. It's just this is not a sexy Russian assassin, dude. This is
she's not a
not a sexy
starlet.
Russian assassin. This is a very
Yeah.
ugly, sawed-off girl.
Mhm.
And I saw her act. It ain't special. I mean, the
No.
thing about Scarlett was she had a certain something about her, right? She had this the way she handled herself. Now, I don't consider Scarlett to be this most unbelievably gorgeous. Look, he's the same height as her and he's sitting. All right. Jesus. Um but now I didn't never consider Scarlett to be this unbelievable, breathtaking, gorgeous thing, but I get why some dudes do.
I wouldn't
But
say
she's got
breathtaking, but she was hot
but she
back in the day,
was,
for
but
sure.
that's her manner. She can be hot. She exudes
Yeah.
hotness. This
She
girl
she yeah, she
exudes,
yeah,
tree stump.
yes.
Yeah,
And that's a problem with a lot of younger women. The feminization of our society has pushed them away from their natural sexuality, and it's one of the reasons why that
I am.
Sydney Sweeney chick is pushing is becoming so famous because she's not afraid of it.
She's
She's
pretty, and
just
she got the
she
tatas.
got some boobies,
She
and
does. Yeah.
she's very fine with the fact that she's fine. She has no she doesn't hide it, she doesn't pretend like she's ashamed of it in any way.
Mhm.
So a lot of these girls who are, average or whatever, they could be a lot sexier if they were just carried themselves sexier, like Scarlett, like other women have throughout history. That it elevates your rating on in a man's mind, right? In the eyes of a guy, if you carry yourself with that sexuality, that sex appeal, whatever you want to call it, that flirtatiousness,
Right.
um, it yeah, it's better than if you don't.
Yeah,
So
sure, sure.
the
Uh,
a lot of these ladies, like this lady here, would probably advance her career quite a lot if she just embraced that part. Because when she's around a guy she finds very attractive, she's probably like that, right? She opens up and da da da. When Chad's around, all of a sudden she's totally feminine. But when she's not around that guy, she acts more like this, which most women do. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying if you want to be in Hollywood and you want to be these characters, especially if you're playing someone like Black Widow, you have to embrace that side of yourself to pull it off.
yeah,
So
you got to be
these,
what do they call it these days? A 304.
yeah, well, a little bit, yeah, you have to be a femme fatale, and in order to be a femme fatale, you can't be faking it because men can tell. I know,
Is
I know, Hollywood has told women that men can't tell when you're faking it. We can,
dude,
we can.
I don't know who Rhea Ripley is,
Yeah,
Ben, there are plenty of Russian-looking ladies in Hollywood that are
in Russia,
stunners that would make for a good Black Widow. Because keep in mind, we're talking to it. Not all characters have to be gorgeous. It's not, and matter of
correct,
fact, it shouldn't be that way, right?
correct.
I like the fact that differences, but a Black Widow is
Yeah,
literally a honeypot, dude. They're
correct. She's a
literally
femme
meant
fatale.
to beguile men, right? That's
Yeah,
the whole
she's
point. She ain't beguiling anything. Now, we look down here where they're trying to make her sexy. Look at it. Look at the where was it? It was on the other one. But look at it here. Look at this dude. They're trying so desperately to make her hot. It's like, well, you need a
yeah.
neck first. They got all this
A
stuff
neck would
around
help.
here to
Yeah.
try to hide that she doesn't have a neck. Look at it. Look what they're doing. They're hiding it because she ain't got no neck. Look at her sawed offness over here. Not hot. Not hot. That's my thing. If she was doing some other role, I wouldn't care. But
I think Miss Sweeney is going to push Hollywood back to embracing the sexual nature of the feminine form and stop pretending like it's bad for people to notice it or to desire it. Because what it will take, in all honesty, it took a lot of young women being okay with being sex symbols for it to get to where it was when, like the 80s and 90s. Um, so it will take that again. It'll take these young
maybe.
women who are like, no, I'm not going to be ashamed of the fact that I'm attractive. Why? That's ridiculous. Like
No, it's
Rhea
power.
Ripley, he
Yeah.
mentioned the wrestler. She is completely on board with it. I mean, there's videos of her out here now where she's wrestling and she pulls her stuff up to make it into like a thong and puts her ass in people's faces and like
Oh, you're
she
talking
gets
about
what
that
she's
really
doing.
ugly girl.
Now, listen, Chester. We will not have Rhea. You will get Ben in here. You slander Rhea. She's Australian. She's muscular. You can't be messing with him now.
She no, but she sells herself as being ugly though. She does that
Well, what she
intentionally. She
does,
might be pretty, but she sells herself as unattractive. This monstrous, evil
well,
thing.
she
Yeah.
does in the ring, but when
Yeah.
she's coming to the ring and stuff like that, she's very feminine. She embraces it. She's swinging her hips. She's walking. She's got just the whole energy that we're talking about that a character like the person playing this character should have. That Scarlet embodies
That is a
beautifully.
male rape nightmare.
Listen, listen. It would definitely not be rape.
It
I
would be.
promise you.
I'd find a gun. All right. Eric says she is nude nearly the whole time she is in Oppenheimer. Oh, poor Peaky Blinder.
Keep Blinder. What? He won an Oscar, Chester. You have to respect his authority.
I don't. I really don't. But I did like him in Peaky Blinders, though. I haven't watched
I
Oppenheimer,
hear
and
he's
I
good.
doubt I will.
I hear he's good in Oppenheimer, but Oppenheimer just seems very boring to
Oh
me.
God,
It's
yeah,
3 hours of
like
a movie about
no,
theory.
no, yeah,
No, that
no,
sounds
no.
horrible.
And if I have to look at this naked chick, no, thank you. Definitely no, thank you. But whatever. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Eric. But then again, Eric's a little bit questionable.
Apparently, your middle name's Jupiter. I didn't know this.
Who, me?
Yes, you've been castigated by Ben. Castigated, sir.
Where am I being castigated? I don't see it
In
over
the
here.
chat, you don't see it. Jupiter.
Well,
you
I am tall. So what, dude?
you have a very
Everyone's lower
Jupiterian
than
look
me,
to you.
pretty much. Ben, what do you want? Now, to be fair, Ben is a kind of a normal sized dude. I say he's about 6 foot, or
Hmm.
something like that. But I'm just taller than everybody. Um, it is what it is. But
A Viking blood, Chester.
it is that country that doesn't exist according to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's right.
let's go over to gay Wolverine.
Oh, just what we needed. Gay Wolverine. That's what everybody was asking for. Gay Wolverine and Morph. He's an X-Men 97. Now, I have a question. I haven't seen this because I refuse to watch Disney products, right? I have a question though. Morph can be anybody, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like he can
Making
be a
him
woman, a man.
yeah,
Right.
it's not weird. Yeah.
Is it gay if you have sex with a truly androgynous being? Because he is. He is. He can be anything. Uh I'm confused. See, this is what they've done. They've confused even me. I don't know anymore. What is gay anymore? Because when I was growing up, being a homosexual meant you had sex with other men or other women if you were of that gender, if you were of that sex,
Right.
right?
The homosexuality.
Now it's a mess. We're all over the place. We
Yeah,
got
it's
men
true.
who are women and women who are men. I don't know anymore. I think we
Well,
give Wolverine a pass on this one because Morph can be anything.
no,
So I don't know.
yeah, they might be pulling that. They might be pulling that. I mean, he tricked Wolverine. That they might be pulling that. I don't know what the point is. I just saw the headline and thought it was funny because we all know exactly what Wolverine is. He is
Yeah.
he is what most of these modern liberals will call toxic masculinity. Right?
Yes.
He's a perfect example of it, and intended to be so. So toxic is his masculinity that he came up in there. Xavier said, "I'm going to help you unlock your memories," which I don't know how that would be possible, but whatever. I'm going to help you unlock your memories. And immediately he's like, "Me want." And he instantly insinuated himself into a long, ongoing relationship, right?
That's
This
right.
is Wolverine. He likes the chicks, but at the same time, he's very protective of the youngsters, including young girls, right?
Yeah.
That's a cool thing. I like what they did. Wolverine. He is sexual. He does like the ladies, but at the same time, was in this example, Jubilee, he's extremely fatherly with her, right? I like
Everybody's
the
big brother.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But there's nothing gay about Wolverine at all.
Yep.
And for you to even imply it, you're just trying to piss people off. But then again,
Correct.
I'm not going to watch this X-Men '97 thing. I have no interest in it because it's created by a bunch of jagoffs. And to just extenuate how bad this is, there's a channel my family has been watching for years. It's called Black Nerd Comedy, right? And
Hmm.
he's just an American, really, but he's a black dude, right?
Right.
But he loves the nerdy stuff, the Nintendo and video games and he's just a nerd, full on real deal nerd, right? And
Hmm.
it's just he's so joyous. It's just fun to watch him. He's joyously happy in his nerddom. And it's wonderful to we've enjoyed him for years. But nevertheless, he he hit the first thing he did when reviewing this X-Men 97, and keep in mind, he's not like us, right?
Hmm.
Was he did this, his first thing. Now, when you have a joyous nerd, whether he be black, yellow, red, or white,
Yeah.
and the first thing they do at your content is sigh, dude, because he's built to love what you do.
Yeah.
He's not a negative Nancy, right? He's very wholesome. He's very upbeat, very happy, and I suggest you go find it. Black Nerd Comedy. Go check it out. He's wonderful. He's a very nice man. He's a nice human, right? And he loves stuff like we're going to talk about Godzilla with Kong here in a second. And
Mm.
he acknowledges, just like every other reviewer, that it's the human aspects are absolutely dog shit, and they should just cut it out of the movies already. But when he knows it's an absolutely abysmal, horrible movie, he admitted it. But when the kaiju's are fighting, damn,
Yeah,
right? Which of course is all we want, really. Yeah.
that's right. That's all I
Uh,
care about.
but yeah, stop, please stop. Wolverine's not gay. Now you might be right.
No.
This might be a kind of a twist to just piss people off, right? Maybe
Yep.
Morph makes himself look like Jean, right?
That's what I would
Yeah,
imagine is going to
yeah,
happen.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
probably is what it is. But the fact that they do it, they just put it in there to piss people off. They just want to piss people off. That's the whole
Yep.
point: is to tear down and destroy. And the fact that you're saying that morph is non-binary, but okay, you can use your modern lingo all you like. But morph, we didn't. The comic books really didn't get into it because comic books
Hmm.
kind of touch sexuality in a very distant and gentle way because it's a comic book. um,
Yep.
but Morph can be anything, so I kind of think we all assumed he was, but we didn't need to
Right.
see it, right? Um,
Right.
whatever. I mean, the only two women in comics that were really overly sexualized, in my opinion, I mean, literally over sexualized, not just because they draw them pretty, but overly sexualized, is She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel, right? They did over sexualize them. They put them in bed with how many characters? Literally
Oh,
in
oh
bed,
God.
right?
Yeah.
So, uh, okay, you're not telling me anything. All right, episode scene shows naked Wolverine taking a shower, and in walks Morph, who first questions if it's Gambit. Well, it's not Gambit, it's Logan, and the camera pans up on Wolverine's naked body as if Morph is checking him out. One too many redheads for you, jokes Morph, who morphs his own pair of aluminum claws. Here, need some help with those hard to reach spaces? All right, so there's nothing gay going on here. Morph is being gay, not Wolverine. But it's interesting that he
Well,
mentions
if you
Gambit.
read the next line there, it's not even Wolverine. It's some kind of nonsense that's going on. So
Oh, it's not
it's
even
literally just
Wolverine.
bait.
Yeah,
It's
it's just bait. Well,
100% just bait.
even with the
Yeah,
bait,
right.
it's still just Morph being gay. Not he's
Right.
just walked in on a person taking a shower, which is something you
Move
do,
outside.
right? You know,
Yep.
I mean,
Be
a
right back.
girlfriend or
Gotta
a
let my dog
wife,
out.
sure, why not? Why not? Although I'm not, water sports need lubrication. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, um, but I do love the comment before he thinking it's Gambit. So are they trying to suggest that Morph and Gambit have something going on, seeing as Gambit is absolutely up, over his head and over heels over head in love with Rogue? I mean, keep in mind, Gambit's someone who can touch Rogue, so it's kind of a match made in heaven, uh, you know. But whatever, this is just normal baiting nonsense. God, these people, dude, these people. Ah, goodness gracious. They got the Goblin Queen thing going on now, huh? Of course they do. All right. But whatever. Dumb. Let's get on to this because this is more interesting. Go ahead. No, I've lost the Thunder Arrow. I don't have a Grimlock today, which is kind of interesting. But I'll read it. Godzilla X Kong first reactions are in. Now I've seen several people's reaction, even Chris Stuckman, who imagines himself a real movie critic, and that's fine. Let him imagine that, I suppose. Whereas the only kind of true critic, and I know you guys would probably disagree with this, but is Adam over at Your Movie Sucks. But he's an actual critic, a real one who takes into account cinematography and writing and all the aspects of movie making, filmmaking. That's what a real actual critic does. Most of us are just reactionaries, which is fine. But I wouldn't call himself a critic. But anyway, even Chris Duckman agreed. The human aspects of him are dog shit, and you know, We know this. But when the kaiju are on screen, and keep in mind the finale of this movie is full 15 minutes of kaiju fighting, dude. It's spectacular, and of course that's what we want. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. Because the last few ones, the kaiju fightings were pretty good. They're pretty good. And this one sounds like they just went over the top. And if you're going to sit and try to review this movie as an actual movie, I don't know what's wrong with you, because that's not the point. Basically, just give us Bruce Lee movie with just Bruce fighting the whole time, and we'd be good. You know. Anyway, I don't know
Well,
why I've lost the thought
okay.
arrow, but I have. Oh, he's back.
I am back. I had to let my dog out, and then he wouldn't go out, and it was a whole thing. And I had to switch my headset because my headset was dying, so now
Mhm.
I'm on my regular mic.
Now,
Um,
I'm going to go get myself some more coffee. But I have
yeah.
made the statement that
Oh,
everyone in the world agrees with. The human aspects are crap and they should just be cut out. But the kaiju
yeah.
stuff is freaking spectacular, is what everybody says, and I'm
No,
looking forward to it.
me too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Me
yeah,
too. I haven't watched it yet.
yeah. But let me.
I
I'll get some
probably
coffee.
will. I probably will go see it sometime this week, most likely. But yeah, I've heard basically the same thing too. The human stuff is completely. It's not even that it's just like boring. It's bad. It's badly acted. The story doesn't make any sense. It's only there because for some reason they insist that they need them to be there. They don't. Well, here's what we need the humans to do. Ah, Godzilla! That's all we need from the humans. That's it. We don't need them to do anything else. You can maybe have a narrator every now and again to, even at the beginning or at the end to kind of frame the what we're about to see. But I think most of the people who like these movies would probably agree. I don't even care how long these movies are necessarily, as long as they're more than 45 minutes to an hour. I want to watch the kaiju's fight. That's all I'm here to do. I don't need these deep lore explanations. I don't need these grand stories about moms and dads and families and all this nonsense they always shove into these movies. If you're not going to go with a very, very serious take on Godzilla, like the original movie, then I have absolutely no desire to watch humans in these movies at all. There's no benefit uh, to the movie. It adds literally nothing to the film. So I would recommend they just, and I think everybody else has, they need to just cut those out in, as
Yeah,
much as they can, if not entirely.
yeah.
From what I understand, Kong's stuff is all awesome in this movie. This is what I've heard
It's
anyway.
mostly a Kong movie. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and in Godzilla just kind of the
Cameos.
backup.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
which
I
is fine.
think there's a reason for that because one, the last movie Godzilla won. Let's call it what it is. So he gets, he got his
As he
shine.
should, though, right?
Yes. And then I think they're planning on, if this one's a success, they're planning on making another one that will like round out the trilogy of Godzilla and Kong together. And they apparently they set it up at the end of this one. So I would imagine in that one Godzilla will get more time.
Right.
But the problem is it's easier to tell stories with just Kong because he's a gorilla. He can make
Yeah,
facial
more. Yeah,
expressions and
that's
more
true.
human than Godzilla is. But I don't really care so much as long as the fights are worth seeing. If the kaiju action is good and voluminous in the movie,
Hmm.
then the rest of it I can largely ignore because it's ignorable. Which
Yeah.
which is what I was saying. One of the things they should do is they should stop worrying about making it X runtime. Like this is a 2 hour movie. Why?
No,
Why?
you just make an hour
Nobody
and a
asked for
half.
this.
Yeah, just get rid
An
of the
hour
human
and a
stuff.
half, even I bet
Yeah.
you could even get away with an hour if it was really good kaiju fights.
Oh, sure.
Like
Sure, sure, sure. I
like the
think you have
end
to have
of
an hour and 6 minutes to be considered a movie, though. I think it's
yes.
six hour and
Yeah.
106, or 66.
Like the
Which
end
is
of King of the
interesting. They choose that
Monsters.
number. Those bastards. Anyways,
They know what they're
yeah.
doing. The end of
Uh,
King of the Monsters with him and Ghidorah, that fight's awesome. It's
yeah. No, it's
awesome.
good. Yeah, it's a good fight. And It's already made 90 million. It's not the
Good.
greatest opening, but we'll see. They might. Well, hopefully, they won't lose money on it because it sounds like it's good fun. But The problem with it is these movies, when you look at it as a movie, they're
Yeah.
so bad.
Yes.
They're so bad. But when you cut all the other stuff out and just look at the kaiju fights, they're great, and it shows you the people making this understand what the audience wants, right? with the
Yes.
kaiju stuff. So it's the only story arc in it, it sounds like has any kind of validity at all is the little mute girl, mute
Yes.
or deaf. I don't know, but probably both.
I think she's mute. I think she can hear, but she's definitely mute. She doesn't talk.
Right.
Um, and she does sign language, so I'm assuming she's just mute, but she might be both. But regardless, yeah, she's the only one who has any kind of story, and they've kind of tied her into the old Mothra stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and that's fine. I think that's fine. That's really all you need. We don't need these dramatic stories between these humans and these things. They need to be there strictly to go from scene to scene, and you could do that with literally just a narrator. You could. If it was done well and the narration made sense, you
Hmm.
could do all of it with just a narrator.
Hmm.
Uh, you don't need these human characters in here at this level. I'm not saying you can't have any, but you don't need them to be. They need to be below a subplot. Whatever's below a subplot in a story, that's what
Right.
they need to be.
Well, I mean,
And yeah,
the first of this reboot of Godzilla with the Cranston was in there. Um,
right,
that one actually was overall a fair movie. All
yeah,
the human, the kaiju, Godzilla, all that stuff. That one was pretty good actually. The human aspects have fallen down like a going off a cliff after that though.
right.
But they did start that way. But I don't care. Like I said, as long as we have some interesting fights, and it sounds like the big bad in this is actually a big bad, which is cool. I'm gonna get my water, my coffee.
Well, they also have apparently, a little bit of spoilers here. They have introduced some new kaiju's as well, which is good because I mean, as much as I love the old Godzilla films, a lot of the monsters in them are silly. They're silliness. So if they're going to introduce some new ones, hopefully they can introduce some cool stuff and let us enjoy watching big monsters beat each other up. It's completely like here's the problem. I think the director understands this. The guy who's been running these, he understands this, but I would imagine a lot of it's studio interference. The people who go to see these movies, it's monster trucks, it's demolition derbies, it's that kind of stuff. We're not here for the deep lore. We're not here for the great dramatic story between this guy and no, that's not what we're here to watch. I have no problem watching those, and I have no problem watching great world building films.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
not really what we're looking for here. We're looking
No.
for a cage fight
Yeah.
with big monsters.
It sounds
Why
like
is
we got
this
it.
so hard
Yeah. It sounds like
to
we got it.
comprehend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But looking at some of the other stuff, so I mean, when you have access to it, go watch it. You'll have fun just with the kaiju stuff. Just understand that the human stuff has not gotten better. It's actually worse. I know that's hard with the Millie Bobby Browns in it,
Is she
because
in this
she's
one?
pretty god awful. But I don't think she's in this one.
That's good.
Yeah, she's the new Sherlock Holmes, you see, so she doesn't need to have to
Yeah, that's right.
bow
Yeah,
down to this stuff. So
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We've replaced Sherlock Holmes as well with a woman because,
Hmm.
it's been working so great so far. Might as well keep it up.
Hmm. Oh, it gets worse. It's going to continue. But anyway, so this weekend, Godzilla was the big banger. Like I said, they certainly hadn't made their money back yet, but hopefully they
Yeah,
will.
no.
Ghostbusters once again is just floundering. And you know, shock. Why would you be shocked? It's all member berry crap. With I'm sure Paul Rudd is fun because he's always fun. But everything else is just kind of crap. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I've
what do
heard
you
it's not good
expect?
at all. It's
Yeah.
very bad. Um,
Dune is still not making money. Kung Fu
well,
Panda's
apparently,
made some money.
according
Immaculate,
to this,
shocking.
what I'm looking at right now, Dune right now is at 626 million.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, they need to make 700 million to make profit.
They'll
Uh,
probably cut profit out of it. I think they will.
yeah, yeah.
Internationally, but it just isn't the movie that people wanted, I guess. But I'm not
Oh,
gonna. I
it's
saw the first one and it was boring. I'm not interested. Just give
it's
me
nasal
David Lynch's
flaring,
version. I'm happy.
nasal flaring. Ethnic woman stares at the camera for 10 minutes because it does that happens for about 10 minutes in the movie.
I'm
She just
sure.
flares her
I'm sure.
nostrils and
Yeah.
stares angrily.
Mm.
That's a lot of the movie, and that takes away from a lot of it because the rest of it I think is really good. There's very few problems, but she's just
a drag in my estimation.
Well, yeah, but she's the token chosen one. But it is interesting looking at things that are coming up in the future. We have the bad guys too. I love the first one. That's funny.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
is that Gerard Butler or Russell Crowe? It's Russell Crowe, right?
I think so. Yes.
I think it's right. I love both those guys. I like Gerard Butler, but it doesn't have any information for us. But I'm pretty sure this was the Russell Crowe movie, and it was fun.
I think you're
Um,
thinking of a different movie. Just
maybe I am. Maybe I am. Let me
because
check
apparently
it
this
out
is a
here.
DreamWorks movie.
Let me check it out here. Oh, this thing. All right. Yeah, no. Oh, all right, fine. No, but you know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that movie. Because it's got a similar name, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember what it is
The
though, but
other
I know it's the one
guys,
you're talking
maybe.
about. No, that's your boy Will Ferrell, your favorite, and
No,
Marky Mark
but
made
you know
that. But
what I
that
mean.
movie's
It's a Russell Crowe
amazing.
movie. I
Yeah.
ain't fuck Will Ferrell, dude. Um, let's see here. We got the Dragon Keeper, Cuckoo. We have Arcadian. But the one that catches my attention here first is the Wolfman. Now, we had Guillermo. What's that actor's name in that Mexican cartel TV show series? He's a
Oh, come
Bendis,
on. Yeah, Benicio del Toro. That's his
Benicio
name.
del Toro.
Yes, yes,
He's
yes.
amazing.
He is.
And his daddy being played by Anthony Hopkins.
That's
The
awesome.
remake of The Wolfman, I
Always.
adore that movie. Like
Yep.
the original, but that remake was spectacular, dude. And I'm like, okay, why are you touching this again?
Because Hollywood is very out of ideas. The basket could not the barrel could not be any emptier. They're literally just scraping the metal off the bottom now. That's where we're at.
Mm,
They're cannibalizing the barrel at this point.
it's
Um,
yeah, I
and it's a shame because what's crazy is in the last couple years there have been a couple of relatively original, or maybe they were made from books and I'm just not aware, but I thought they were original, decent movies that came out, like The Creator, for instance. And I guess you could say Oppenheimer to some degree because it's it's based on Oppenheimer, but it's still not it's still a new film. We've never had an Oppenheimer movie before, as far as I know. Um, and they've had a couple of successes out here that have made some decent money and done pretty well, and they made some pretty good films off of either original or fairly original ideas, and yet they just cannot get out of re-mode. Hollywood has been in re-mode, and I don't mean re like in re, I mean like redo, remake,
yeah,
reboot
no, they
for
yeah, well,
decades
both
now.
really. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's true. Ben says he saw Ghostbusters. There was an interesting story. I heard that, the main story, but in there, but shoved under too many characters and unfulfilled arcs. Yeah, that's the same thing I heard. It's just this way, way, way too much going on, and we see a lot of this. They just throw the kitchen sink at it, and it's like, you know, just tell your story. Right? We don't need anything more. But to be fair with Ghostbusters, they lost the plot on that long ago. Long
yeah,
ago. Because if we look at Ghostbusters, what is that movie? That is a movie about a bunch of guys who start a business together. That's what the movie is, right?
right.
Now, there is a
Yeah,
love story arc in there, fair enough. And they chose the ugliest guy on the planet to be in the love story arc, and that was the joke, I guess.
yeah.
As if
But he is
Sigourney Weaver would
hilarious.
have anything to do with Bill Murray.
He
Um,
is hilarious.
yeah,
Um,
no, he can be funny.
It's
Um,
also Chester. It's also one of the most, I would say, one of the most libertarian movies ever made because the bad guy of that movie is the government. That's who the bad guy is.
I mean,
Yeah,
in a way,
you
that's
have the
true.
big
Yeah,
threat. You have the big threat of the big demon thing, the big god or whatever. But the ones who release him and who get that to all happen is largely that bureaucrat who can't let it
right.
go.
And
You
this
know,
new
he's
movie
uncertain.
brings him back.
Oh
That
boy,
the guy who certainly and definitely has no dick. Um, but but
Bill Murray, man, he's an
yeah,
all timer. There's never
he
going to
can
be
be
another
funny.
one.
But I'm just saying that the ultra concept of that movie really boils down to a group of friends starting a business.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the story is. Now they throw Gozer and the Gozerian and all that kind of stuff in there, but it's basically about these dudes coming together and starting a business, is what it is. And to be fair, the 2016 movie, the debacle, was trying to do that as well. It was about a bunch of girls starting a business. Cool.
Yep.
They missed the mark where they just weren't funny at all.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
kind
it
of
was it was
you're
painful.
making this comedy because it is a comedy. You're making this, and you forgot a part of the comedy
Yeah, kind of,
part,
the
the
comedy.
comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you forgot the comedy.
But I mean,
Um,
which is a shame because obviously they were pushing politics, were being all female, obviously. But
yes,
if they had, this is the problem we get with so many of these woke films. They just don't bother to make a good movie. If they had had a movie that was actually funny and just remaking it with ladies, there would have been pushback, of course. But it would at least that people would be, well, it was funny. But anyway, it was funny, right?
Chester, one of my favorite comedies of all time is the movie that made him famous. The guy who did that movie is Bridesmaids.
I've
It
never
is
seen it.
hilarious. I think even you would like it. It is hilarious,
I don't
Chester.
really watch
Genuinely.
many comedies or dramas,
My
but
wife and I literally will just start quoting it to each other and just start cracking up because it's genuinely a funny movie.
mm,
Because it understood that what we're making, understood he understood what he was making there, and the
right.
actors clearly understood what they were making there. What happened is because that movie was so successful and is beloved by a lot of people as being genuinely funny, they get this idea that everything they touch will turn to gold,
Right.
and that's just not true. You have to actually be creative and talented to do it multiple times, like a Mel Brooks, for instance. It takes a certain person to be funny consistently. A lot of people can be funny once or twice. That isn't that hard. But to do it repeatedly over and over in films in different genres and things, that's a skill set that honestly I think maybe only Mel Brooks in the world ever had. So
Well, he could get away with quite a bit.
yeah.
Um, let's see here. Let's see what's coming up.
Uh-oh.
April, no, we're in early April here. Of course, Easter here. Next week is going to be April, of course. Monkey Man, I saw it. It didn't really interest me. It's a Southeast Asian movie. Let's see here. The First Omen, yeah, once again, just put a girl in it,
Ooh,
and make her gay.
uh they really did a good job. Whoever came up with the release schedule for Godzilla, brilliant. As long as it doesn't have a monster drop off,
Yeah, they
there's
might
nothing
make some
coming.
money because there ain't nothing
Yeah.
coming here. Um, Escape from Germany. No, these are things. The Civil War movie. I saw reviews on it. It's just dumb. Of course, it's
It's
dumb.
terrible. Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Sting. Actually, we'll see, but it could be a good little horror movie.
Yeah.
It actually looked interesting. Sting.
Horror
Um,
movies don't make money though, not really. They
nah, not
very
usually.
rarely.
No, they make enough though.
Yeah, they
That's why
make
you
it.
see
Well,
so
they're
many.
cheap. They're real cheap to
They're
make.
real
Yeah.
cheap, yeah. But this one looked interesting though. Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead. Why do we have a genre that babysitters are killing or being killed? That's a genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think if by looking at these names, it seems to me like they decided they needed to remake that movie it with black people.
Oh yeah,
Um,
no, that's a thing too.
yeah, that just
Uh,
doesn't
uh,
work. When has
it,
that worked? Has that
yeah,
ever
just give them
worked?
their own stuff. They got their own stuff anyway.
Yeah,
But yeah, and I don't know. That's a genre. I never had a babysitter in my life, and I never actually used one as a father either.
I did. It was a television. That
Oh
was
no, no.
that was my babysitter.
My mother didn't like me in the house, and she would tell
Yeah.
us kids to get the hell out. Well, she didn't use hell, but that's what she meant. And yeah, so I was mainly outside most of the time. Let's see here. I just don't see anything interesting yet, other than Sting. I saw that trailer, and I thought it was looked interesting. Okay. This one has got the Henry Cavill in it. It might be good. The Ministry of
That I'm looking.
Ungentlemanly
Yeah,
Warfare,
I will
maybe.
be watching that day one, 100%.
Don't watch this Sasquatch Sunset. This movie, and this is coming from YMS, by the way.
Hmm.
This movie was created literally to laugh at you for watching it. It's one of those troll movies. It's literally laughing at you like you're so stupid to be sitting in the theater watching this movie. Ha ha ha, mock you. That's what this movie
Excellent.
is. Don't give
Excellent.
Jesse Eisenberg any of your money. Fuck that guy. Okay?
Not
Uh,
another church movie.
oh, that's definitely black. Oh, it's
Uh,
Mickey Rourke and Jamie
that's
Foxx?
that's what I'm saying. Like, wait a minute. What?
No,
What
hold on
is
a second.
this? I've never even heard of this.
Does Mickey Rourke need Jesus?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, yeah, probably does. Let's see here. Okay,
And
okay,
maybe
yeah, yeah,
Mickey
yeah,
Rourke
yeah,
plays
yeah, yeah.
God. That would be pretty funny, actually. Oh.
All
This is
right.
usually my day of rest, but I'm feeling like something. Hashtag Holy Davidson. Holy Davidson.
Holy Davidson. He's going to play Jesus. All
Feeling
right.
very blessed
Oh
today.
boy.
Well, hey there, Counselor Ferry.
It's actually pronounced Harry. It's Taylor Harry. My P is silent. My favorite nephew.
Another black man in drag. Boy, they like that shit.
Empower all the men of the
Uh-huh.
world. God wants you to be pimping? Huh?
That wasn't me. I never answered his prayers.
I'll do anything for you, God.
Huh.
I need you to become a writer.
I don't know nothing about writing.
Do you know what a plot point is?
No.
A good storyline?
Hell no, I ain't never heard that.
She deserves to
Boy.
get half.
Man, why are black movies so cliche? Why? Someone help me.
Well, I don't know. I would say that there's a lot of interracial politics that go into Hollywood, as we've seen.
Yeah.
And it seems like, as a non-black person, whoever makes the decision to make black movies, quote unquote, really doesn't like black people.
It seems
Really
so.
doesn't like.
It seems so.
Yeah.
They can be funny though, but a
Yeah.
lot of the black not all, but a lot of the black comedy, it's basically laughing at black people. That's the
That's
whole
correct.
comedy. You're laughing at the
Which is
dumbness of black
fine.
people. I
Which is,
guess
you can laugh at anybody. That's fine.
you
That's kind of
can.
the point of
You
comedy.
talk about Mel
And it,
Brooks, laugh at the Jew, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, he made a
and
whole career out of disparaging his own people.
he did.
But I don't know, man. It's just there's so much of it, and it always comes off as we're trying to get you to dislike them like we dislike them. It's not coming off as like, hey, we're messing with a buddy, right? We're telling jokes because it's haha, right? It's more like almost. I don't even want to call it this, but it's the best word. It comes off like bullying. Like they're
It is
trying to
weird.
get you to mock these people, and it's why are we doing that? That's silly. The
Well-
best black comedies, from about 20 years ago or so, didn't do that. They made they poked at the stereotypes and they made fun of this part of the
Well,
culture and that part. But at
like
the
Eddie,
end of the
right?
day,
It's
at the end of the day, it was
cool
still a
black guy,
movie,
right?
right?
It's more laugh at the white people, right? This
Right.
looks like what a type of movie that Disney used to make. It's got Adrian Paul right there, which I thought was interesting. But this looks like what a Disney movie used to be, right?
Yep.
So family stuff. Alrighty then. Let's see here. Villain. We're trying to find something interesting here. Challengers, boy kills world. Okay, fine. Breed, nothing special. Dracula meets the. Oh, is this Asylum? Does it go to tell me who producing it? It doesn't have a trailer.
It might if you go down. It just says coming soon. They better get a trailer out. They're putting it out in April.
This has got to be B Ultra B Asylum level stuff. I don't recognize anybody there. Do you?
No.
Yeah.
Pendragon.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Interesting.
it's like a throwback to the old black and white days of Universal, though. The
Yep.
seduction of Dracula. We got Dracula. We got Dracula.
Apparently, we're Dracula in it.
Yeah,
Oh wait, it's the same thing. Oh, okay. It must be some streaming thing because those
maybe.
are the same actor.
Oh no, you're right. Different. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Right. Different markets. Let's see here. The Fall Guy looks horrible. Oh my God, it looks so
Oh.
bad. Talk about not getting it. Tarot, another horror movie in May. Interesting.
What's with the horror movies? Holy crap, that's a lot this year.
Easy to make money, get turnover in it, dude.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes could be good. We'll
I
see.
haven't watched any of those.
I'd recommend them. They're good. I like them.
Just not interested. Frankenstein versus Dracula, the resurrection of Frankenstein,
More
the vengeance
Dracula.
of Dracula, Crypts.
What is
of
going
Dracula.
on with this?
All right. I love me a reincarnation of Dracula. Jeez. I love me some good B horror though. I do enjoy it.
Yep.
Yep.
Greedy people.
Because I usually have them on it while I'm doing work, and I'm just kind of more listening than watching. But I did
Yes.
see one the other day that low budget, mostly shot in a single room, right?
Hmm.
Although I think they got out and about enough, but it was mainly shot in one room. But I liked it. It was it's a B horror movie, but I mean, it was very clever. It's called The Hive. I know there are many of those. This 2015, I think, or 16, and it's called The Hive.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was an interesting little take. I thought that was fun. I enjoyed it.
Sure.
Anyway, I'm still looking for something that's gonna. Oh God, these Furiosa things are like, please,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
stop putting Mad Max on it. Just call it Furiosa. What are you doing?
Wait. There's a Garfield movie with Chris Pratt as the voice.
Right? I don't know which character he's playing. Maybe Samuel L.
Um,
Jackson is Garfield. That would be funny.
that would be funny,
It would be.
especially if it could be R-rated. He could
He could just cuss
motherfucker
it left and
everybody.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
motherfucker. Motherfucking snakes on a motherfucking plane. The Crow looks really bad. Bad
Not,
Boys Riot Again. Do you see the trailer? I saw it.
I did not. I didn't even know it
Yeah.
existed.
Yeah.
Just this minute.
Well, those two guys, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, need some monies. They came out with the other one like a year or so ago, and
Oh, it was longer than
it
that. It had to be. It had to
it
be longer
wasn't
than
that long ago. It was very very recent, 2 years max. And it was pretty bad. It was
that.
pretty bad. That first Bad Boy movie actually was pretty slick.
Yes.
But the last one was pretty bad. Lame would
I
be the
like the
word.
first. I like the first two. The first one's better than the second one. The
Mm.
third one is just. What are we doing? Like we've.
Yeah, it's and it
Eesh.
getting worse. And I saw the trailer for this, and it looks even more worse, more worser. Okay,
More worser.
yeah.
Oh, that's how
Let's
English
see
works.
here. Inside Out 2. We watched the first one. That's for my daughter, obviously, and yeah, she didn't care about it at all. Watchers, yeah, I'm sure this is gonna be a horror movie. Let's see. The Bike Riders. Oh, that's an original name. Firebrand. Thelma. Where's Louise? Okay. Um, Horizon, American Saga. All right. Operation Dagon. Let me check
That's
that out.
that big. That Horizon. I think that big western. That big.
Yeah, I
What
saw.
you
Well, this
call it?
one has Cynthia Rothrock, so I have to look at it. So,
Uh oh.
no trailer, unfortunately. Cynthia, she's getting a bit old though.
Yeah, she's up there.
She's my age, so I don't know if she's going to be swing kicking very much. But alrighty, this is the Ultra B. Let's see here. Is there anything Despicable Me 4? Those things are going to go on forever.
Yeah, they make money.
Moxine. Okay, that looks pornographic. National Anthem. Okay. The Duke of Marylebone. All right, fine. Twisters. Yeah, I saw the thing for that. Full House. Yeah, no. Deadpool
Deadpool
Wolverine, maybe.
Wolverine.
I saw the
I
thing for Harold and the Purple Crayon with Zachary
as
Levy. Now,
as much as I don't want to give Disney money, I almost have to go see Deadpool.
yeah,
They're my
no,
like
I
my
think a
two
lot of
favorite.
people will be like that. I'll of course wait and see what the
I
reviewers
might
say, but
pirate. I might sail the high seas though because
yeah,
I
maybe.
really don't like Disney. Really
Yeah.
don't like them. Not a
Did you
fan.
see the trailer for Harold and the Purple Crayon?
I did not.
Now, you probably are too young to remember Harold. Um,
Hmm.
when I was a kid, we had a show called Captain Kangaroo, right?
Yep.
And on Captain Kangaroo, they had many little skits. One of the skits was a little cartoon about a little cartoon boy named Harold, and he had a purple crayon, and anything he drew came true, right?
Interesting.
And watching Zachary Levy, Shazam, right?
Yep.
Or Chuck, I think he was from. But
Yes.
if you watch the trailer, it seems to be true to Harold, just a grown-up version. But it's one of those Kevin Hart things, dude.
Mm,
I don't know about you, but I just can't stand Kevin Hart. I
Yeah, I'm
mean,
not a fan.
I don't begrudge him being successful and making money. I mean, you do. Good luck, and I hope you make all the money in the world, type of thing. I don't have anything against him, but he's just
Yeah.
annoying. He's a one-trick pony, right? He wants to be Eddie Murphy, but he ain't. And all the jokes are because he's teeny. He's super teeny. So all the jokes they make about him are, teeny man jokes. It's just boring, dude. But I don't know. That was a weird one. That one. An Alien Romulus. I have zero interest in that. Huh, Craven the Hunter. This should have been out already.
Yeah,
Why isn't
it's
it? You should ask yourself. Let's see here. Reagan. All right, fine. Yeah. You got Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. It's got that whorish girl, Jenna Ortega, in it, so that'll be great.
uh,
Yeah, she always plays the whore, right?
there
Uh,
is just oof. This is a rough year for
it's
Hollywood. They don't
rough,
got a
dude.
lot.
It's rough. We're almost through the year. I'm just going to get through the year here.
There's the second Joker movie, the
Yeah,
musical for
no,
some
I
reason.
have Fodoli, Foedu. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I'm just not another black man in drag. Okay.
Yep.
Why
Oh,
do
look at
they?
that,
What?
Chester. Look
Why
at
did
look at look at look at look at. How do you not see it? How do you not see it?
I see it?
Yeah, you should be excited about that. You love Terrifier.
I do. The first one was interesting. The second one was spectacular.
Hopefully, the
So
third
these
one
get
rounds
they're
it
up
out.
in their game. They're up in
You
the
know
game.
what? This one needs to suck. Then that's what you get.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, the thing is that there's this constant just conveyor belt of
Yeah.
movies trying to create the next Jason or Freddy or Michael or
Yes.
something like that. This is just this
Something they
conveyor belt,
can milk for
right?
50 movies. Yeah.
Right. And I don't blame them for this, but they just don't stick. The terror,
Yep.
because if you go to these horror conventions, right? You can get like keychains and T-shirts and all these kind of little bauble things. And you'll always see the mainstays. Of course, you got the ones I mentioned. You also have Pumpkinhead. He's one that's stuck. But there's like a good 7 to 10 characters that are embedded in the horror imagination.
Right.
He became part of that so quickly.
Yep. That's a good character.
Art the
Good
Clown.
design.
Yeah, no, it's weird how.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it's weird, and
Um.
they've been going there really bizarre with their cosmology too. Anyway, trailer time.
Oh, here it comes. Hide your kids. Hide your wives.
Yep. Okay. Not creepy at all. Not creepy at all. I'm good. I'm good. Okay. Aw. Art is coming to Christmas. It's going to be a joyous year.
Terrifier claws.
Yeah. Now, do keep in mind, I don't care that you see a little child. They will butcher it.
Yep.
They have no qualms whatsoever. I was actually kind of watching a movie called The Midnight Man. It was really bad. But they killed off kids in a hard way very quickly. I was like, ooh. Ooh.
Excellent.
It can be, but it's something you got to do right, though. It's just like, don't kill the dog, right?
Right.
Art is bringing presents to the kiddies.
There's no coming back from killing the dog. You're
No,
the bad
there
guy
isn't.
now.
That's true. You got to be careful about that. Is that a little girl, maybe?
I think that's the point. They don't want you to know.
Maybe. This is a movie has a great sense. These movies have a great sense of humor, even though there's not a line of comedy in it. It's one of those things, right?
Yeah,
They pull it off.
of it.
Yeah, they pull it
Yeah.
off. Santa.
Oh boy. That's a good trailer.
Art. Gotta have him some finger food. Get it? I'm sure in that flash was the little girl's body. I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah. But if you're now, here's the thing. Bad Boys for Life 2020. Yeah, no, that's what I was talking about, Ben. If you're not a horror movie fan, don't watch that movie. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not your
It's
type of movie.
brutal and bloody. Um,
It's gore horror is what
it
it
is
is. It's
gore.
very much
It is gore horror. It is. But I'm just saying that ain't no joke. You don't walk into Terrifier.
no.
You just don't randomly stroll into that. Yeah, be
Mm-mm.
careful. I love it, but a lot of people wouldn't. Like I would never show that to my wife.
Oh my, she'd be traumatized for the rest of her life.
What? What?
You'd never get her back.
Yeah, no, no,
Yeah,
ain't have What
yeah.
in the hell are that? Already you look wrong. Already
Well,
you look wrong.
all I know is I am not at all excited.
It's Ridley
Talk about
though.
a movie. Talk about a movie that definitely didn't need a sequel. Definitely. This would be the one. Gladiator for a long time was my favorite movie. I love that movie. I love everything about the
It is a good movie.
characterization of
Yeah.
Maximus. I love everything about the characterization of Commodus. I even love, whose name escapes me right now, the chick. All these three characters are phenomenally directed. And the fact that they brought so much of the of ancient Rome to life. Now, yeah, there's things they got wrong, but I still think by and large that's one of the best representations we've ever seen on film.
They got Drake's in this as well. That's interesting. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I just we did not need a Gladiator 2.
No,
I
I don't.
know
It's
a
weird.
lot of people there are some people who are excited about this. People who are like me who love the first movie. The problem is that story was so well done from beginning to end. I mean, man, Ridley doesn't get the credit he deserves, which is saying something, because he is a phenomenal storyteller. He might not be a great director all the time, but he is a phenomenal storyteller.
Yeah.
The fact that that movie opens talking about the Elysian Fields, Maximus talking about the Elysian Fields, and then it basically ends with him in the Elysian Fields, is classic, perfect foreshadowing. That is very well done, and that's just one example in that movie, of course. You don't get a lot of that anymore, and that's one of the reasons why that movie was so beloved. It's one of the reasons why it won a bunch of Oscars, because you just don't. There's just not a lot of people making movies with that level of forethought, and that's why that movie's great. So, could this movie be phenomenal? Possibly, yeah,
Well, let's
but it
read the
just didn't need to
tagline
happen.
and let's think about it for half a second. Since I know
Yep.
the movie, you know the movie, everyone watching probably knows the movie.
Oh yeah.
Follows Lucius, the son of Maximus's love Lucilia, after Maximus's death. Now,
Okay.
we know right well his wife and son are dead.
That's
His
right.
family are dead, which
Mhm.
was a great motivator for the man,
Yes.
right? Betrayed by a little shit is the whole
Yep.
point. I don't recall anywhere in the. Please help me out, but I don't recall anywhere in that movie him having another love, because his
Well,
focus was on the death of his family, right? I don't recall him having
that was her
another
name.
love.
The Commodus' sister is named Lucilla. I couldn't remember her name. So they're talking about the fact that before he met his wife, he had some sort of relationship with her, and then Lucius is the little boy who comes to meet him or meets him when he's in, the holding pen, basically, where the gladiators stay.
Yeah, I get it. So
Yeah,
okay. I remember the scene you're talking about. They did hint
yeah.
at something. You're right.
Yeah.
All
Then
right.
there even is a little bit of potential that that it could be he could actually be Maximus's son and da da da. Like there's a little bit of that played with, but it's not like really really played with. It's very subtle. And there's a lot of people who have theories that he was Maximus's actual son and not whoever the father was. But it's there's just no meat there. Like that's not you can't. What's the jumping off point here? This little kid who met Maximus once is now going to become a gladiator. Like, I don't know, man. It's pretty weak. That's pretty flimsy stuff to jump off with. But maybe
Well,
Ridley's got something up his sleeve and he'll pull off something great. I don't know.
this guy that I'm looking at here is not going to do it for you though.
No,
And he's got a single earring in his ear, which at that time
Lord.
means you're a slave.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're doing your research, Ridley.
Well, here's the question, right?
It's
One of the
probably
reasons.
Lucius, right?
Yeah, that's who it is. The
Yeah.
problem that a lot of modern movies have now is they are so afraid of telling stories about adults, about actually mature, grown men like Maximus was. Right? He was a general for crying out loud. One of the most accomplished generals in all of Rome. a great man by all accounts. And the whole story takes place over, about a year, I'd say, of his life after everything falls apart, basically. And they don't make those movies anymore. So what it looks like we're going to get here is we're going to get a much younger protagonist, which you can do, I guess. But one of the reasons why Gladiator works is because everybody can understand his motivation. Everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. You understand. This man murdered basically his father and then his family. Right? And then his actual wife and child murdered them, and he finds them in that scene where he cries and he's got snot coming out of his nose and everything, which was all Russell, by the way. That was all him. That whole scene is so well acted, so beautiful, and the fact that he just becomes he's not Maximus anymore, really. He's just vengeance. That's what he is.
The gladiator,
anything to get
yeah. But they're going with 2 competing, or maybe even 3 or 4 competing people to take the empire after, which happens many times in Roman history, by the way. But there's a very interesting dude right here, Thrakes. Now, that's a historical fellow, and he doesn't have a nose, so we'll get some CG on that, I'm assuming. He cut his own. This is the dude who cut his nose off to spite his face. You know that expression? It comes from this guy.
Yes.
He literally cut his own nose off. I shit you not. So that'll be interesting. But I just had no interest in another Gladiator. None at all. But
and the problem that the first Gladiator movie had was a lot of people didn't like it because it's ahistorical. That didn't happen. What happens in that movie did not happen. Sure. So a lot of people didn't like that, right? Because they kind of tried to present it as being historically accurate, but the main plot line of the movie simply didn't happen. They took some things that did happen, like Commodus, the Emperor, did fight in the Colosseum, but it was all fake. But he did do it. He did get in there. Yeah. That kind of stuff did happen. Obviously, Marcus Aurelius was a real emperor. All that's real. But they obviously then played with it, right? It's historical fiction. So you're really fiction. Like, you're not even close. We're not even pretending that this is real. We're just taking these characters full on. And maybe it's far enough away. But I remember when that movie came out, there was an uproar from, history nerds that how ahistorical it was. The storyline and a lot of the stuff they did. Because they presented it originally as it was, a fairly realistic story or whatever, and it's
a movie, dude. Relax.
Yeah, Well, I agree. I'm just saying there was a lot of outrage back then. So now they're even further away. They're even further away from that. I wonder if they'll be the same. Yeah, I wonder if they'll be the same.
Back off because it's further away, maybe. But do keep in mind, when we talk about history, though, something that history teachers don't teach you in school because it's one of those taboo conversations. A lot of these princesses that are brought in for arranged marriages throughout history, and therefore making a comment here, whether it's Maximus's kid, a lot of those girls, because it's all political based, a lot of those girls, either the father, the king of the prince, actually made the children, right,
yep.
Or the girl would get pregnant before arriving, meaning, and a lot of times she would get pregnant from her father.
Oh,
I'm not joking with you. This is why they brought in the practice of having to watch the first sex. You see this in some movies, right? Where they'll sit and there's a bunch of committee of people watching them have sex for the first time, and then them having to show the blood that therefore she was a virgin. That's why that came out. That's why they started doing that. I know you saw that, like, that's weird. They're weird people. Why do they do that? That's why. Because a lot of these girls were getting pregnant from their dad or brother before they went, to make sure their bloodline was in the foreign land, or the king himself would take his son's daughters and impregnate them, their wives, and impregnate them. That was real shit, right? And that's why those things came to be. So, it'll
be interesting. Like I said, I'm not against more Roman stuff. I'm a huge Roman
it could be
fan.
Fun. I really wish that TV show survived.
It was phenomenal.
It. It had Stevenson in it, right? It was great.
Yeah, I don't understand why it bombed so hard. It was one of the best.
It was too expensive.
One of the best shows ever made, in my estimation.
It was great.
But no, it's one of the things. Like, I don't mind getting these nice period pieces, these big epic stories from that time frame and stuff. That's good. We need that. Gladiator's a great example of it. However, that being said, I want it to be good first.
Yeah, no,
right? It has to be a good story.
And Ridley's not been firing lately, dude. He's
No,
not been
he's
firing
lost
lately.
lost a step in
Yeah,
the
he
last
has.
while.
Now this right here, Moana 2, could be good because there's no white people in it, so there's no need for shenanigans, right?
Right.
I know my kids really enjoyed the first one, and I thought it was cute.
I thought it's good.
Yeah.
It's fine. A little movie.
Athena Saves Christmas, Cuba Gooding Jr. He's in trouble. You do realize with the whole Diddy dog here, that
Hey, dog, no.
sorry, that Cuban is actually named in the lawsuit. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah. It's not good.
So I didn't know he was a freak like that, but it sounds like he's much more of the gay dude than Sean Combs is. It's weird.
Yeah.
Hollywood's weird, dude. Stay away from
It's a
it.
weird place. Get out of it.
Let's see here.
Don't
Lord
go
of the
there.
Rings: The War of the Rohirrim. I don't think you
So
spelled
that
that right.
actually has still been, that they did definitely. I'm pretty sure they didn't spell that right. That actually did get made. I remember them talking about that a couple years, threatening us with this film a few years ago. Apparently, it did happen. Oh boy, I think it's animation though, so maybe it won't be as terrible.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, animation.
All right, fine. Let's see here. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. All right. Mufasa. Okay.
What? Is that a prequel? What is that?
Probably. It's got prequels make money, didn't you know?
Talk about a movie that absolutely didn't need a prequel. What?
This one is using Terrifier in its little clip there. Why are you doing that? It's the same creator? Same creator? Mm-hmm.
Delights. Strap in because we're running down everything we know about the horror movies and shows coming in 2024 and beyond. And director, March film in the spook and girls musical movie thing. All
right. Okay, fine. That's not what I wanted. All right. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. Grind, Wolfman. Once again, I don't understand why. There's nothing on it here. Wow, there's hardly anything on this, dude. Is this some European production? I bet you it is.
One of the only movies I'm actually interested in, I know we're in 2025, is the new Highlander remake with Cavill starring in it.
That might be fun. They could be fun. He's an actual, man of British descent, unlike the Frenchman.
Yes. And he knows how to use a sword, as we've seen with.
Very well.
Yeah.
Way better than Christopher Lambert. I love me some Christopher Lambert. I'm not dissing him.
Yeah.
But no, Henry has shown that he put the work in. Henry put the work in. To be fair, I saw one, because that's I stopped after season 1. That's so bullshit. It's not about Geralt. It's not. It's about Yennefer.
The second one gets even worse.
It's not. So if you want The Witcher, you ain't getting it. They should have just called it the Chronicles of Yennefer, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have been better off.
And then made like an hour and a half movie or something with just Cavill.
Yeah, that would have been fun. But there is a scene I saw where he's fighting this girl in the street, and he's trying not to harm her, but she pushes it, and he just has to end her. In that scene, he shows you the work he put in, and the girl too. The girl put in work too.
That's
which is rare. We don't see that a lot. But that girl put the work in because that was a good choreographed scene. She worked on that. Good for her. Right?
Yep. No, that's from the book. That everything about that fight is the Geralt stuff in the first season is pretty accurate to the book. It's the rest of the stuff to the books. It's the rest of the stuff that goes off the rails.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there's not much here, dude. Terrifier 3 might be good. There's just not a lot here, dude. It's going to be a rough year, man. It's going to be a rough year.
The only movie that we've seen here, unless I'm misremembering one, that I'm even remotely looking forward to is again Henry, in that Guy Ritchie movie,
Ungentlemanly
Warfare.
Thing. Yeah.
That looks like yes, Yes, it's another Nazis bad movie, and I
It's
get
like
it.
a Guy
Nazis are
Ritchie
bad,
movie. It looks like.
but it's a Guy Ritchie movie, and Guy Ritchie's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. They're
So
usually fun. Yeah, I don't know if
yeah,
it is Guy Ritchie, but it looks like it.
no, it is. It
Yeah.
is. It is. Yep.
And those are always fun. So that's true, but it looks like a pretty rough year, dude. Anyway, let's move on to my last story of the day, and this one, of course, is par for course.
Oh boy, here we go. The Spiderwick Chronicles full trailer is here. Spiderwick.
Now, first of all, it's a little bit Christian Slater, and I'm good with that. I like Christian. I've always enjoyed Christian. He's part of that Rat Pack, the reincarnation of the Rat Pack in the '80s with Keith Sutherland and all these guys, right? Kevin Bacon and stuff. But I like me some Christian Slater, and the Spiderwick is it's a book series written by a man and woman team. I don't know if they're husband and wife, but it's a man and woman team, and it kind of leans toward the girls, but it's basically a family that moves into a place, and the kids find out that fairies are real. Okay. Now my kids watched it. My son could care less. My daughter liked it, but then again, it is really for girls, right?
Right.
But so I didn't read the book. I don't think they read the books. But we did watch the movie, and it was all right. Okay.
Yep.
And it wasn't that big. I don't know why anyone's screaming for a Spiderwick Chronicles remake, to be honest with you. But whatever. Hollywood gives us things we don't ask for all the time. But nevertheless, let me kind of break it down. This is the book. I think there's several books. At least three. And you got this Tony Di Terlizzi and Holly Black are the creators of these books. And you got this older daughter, kind of like Wendy, right? And her twin brothers, right? And they, like I said, they find all these fantastical creatures, and there's like a professor that kind of guides them or something like that, right? So, all right, this is what it looks like. Okay. Here's the movie version. It has this gangly boy and the sister. So they're kids. They're kids, but the sister's on the cusp of being a woman. But they're kids, right? More kids here. She's still on maybe 12, 13, something like that, 14 maybe. These boys are like 10, right? So, but they're kids, right? They're kids. Now let's take. Oh, I would say we take a look at the trailer here and see how it's been updated for a modern audience.
Oh Lord,
shall we?
Oh Lord, look at this.
This town is full of stories.
Like Christian.
Allow me to be your guide.
Ooh, Spiderwick.
Fantastical world around you.
Oh, that looks a little different. I don't see kids at all.
Spiderwick.
And I don't. Yeah, no kids. Something else is different too. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
And we both know it's not getting better.
Yeah.
Once we clean this house up,
that ain't no kid.
And
that's like a 20-something-year-old woman. They're not even the same race.
My favorite person ever.
I love how Hollywood can't even get the races right when they do it.
It's full of secrets and surprises.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Have you guys noticed there's some? They're not kids.
Yeah.
But they're also not something else.
My father cataloged each and every creature of the invisible world. The pages are in hidden vaults all over Henson.
Yeah, and we know that this old world stuff is just full of, aristocratic black families. We know that, right? That's historical. That's historical.
Find the pages. Put Spiderwick's field guide back together.
Yeah.
You have to help save everyone.
Oh, wow.
Just a kid.
No, you're not. You're probably 24. I'd say you're 24. Yeah. It looks pretty, though. I have to say that. But the first one looked good, too. Yeah.
We want something more.
I'm an ogre. I want everything more.
You're a token white man, sir.
Yep. Can't trust anyone.
We've come to the point that we have token white men. Okay.
That's where it's at. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it's at. Oh yeah, lots of there.
Must be ready for
lots
the
of fencing
fight.
going. Okay.
Having someone believe in you.
Is that your real mama? Because that other one ain't your mama.
Powerful form of magic there is.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Okay. So now, I know this doesn't mean much to our audience. However,
I don't get it.
Like I said, it's a thing for kids, mostly for girls. To be fair, it is really kind of a girl fantasy thing, which is fine. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But as you can see, the creators had a vision. The original movie tried to match that vision the best they could. It didn't do well, which I don't understand why it got so much pushback. I thought it was fine for what it was. Like I said, my daughter enjoyed it. But they have a new vision. There's a new vision in town, right?
Yeah.
And that new vision doesn't involve any of the whites, and nor children, because now you saw the girl and the boy, right? That girl is mid-20s. The boy is mid-20s. They're not children. They're supposed to be little kids, right? I mean, take a look at it. These are little kids. She's just starting to become a woman, which is kind of part of the story, right? She's like 12, 13, right? That like Wendy. It's like Wendy, right? To be fair, these two kind of ripped off Peter Pan a little bit, to be fair. But she's at that age. These are boys, like 9, 10-year-old boys, the twins, right? And what we have in this movie is not even close to it, of course.
Of course not. Yep.
And of course, they had to race swap everything. And it's like, why? Particularly when you're race swapping in that particular genre. That's a very European setting, right? It is not a black people's world. If you want to create some kind of fantastical stories like in the Middle East, or in Africa, of course they don't seem to like Africa very much.
Or they'll make a movie in Africa and they'll completely change everything about it so it's not even remotely real.
Right.
Like, why do that? Well, here's my question, right?
Yeah.
So we know, like, obviously this, when modern audiences see something like this, they're going to think Harry Potter, right? Very similar ideas. Okay, a hidden world of magic and mystery. Great, awesome. Well, speaking of Harry Potter, in Harry Potter's lore, there is basically a Hogwarts, a very similar type of school in Africa.
Why wouldn't there be?
Yeah. So why not just make stories there? Will J.K. just like, nah, listen. You made Hermione black, I was all right with it, but don't you dare take my story to the Black Continent. I won't have it. I don't think she is.
Hermione black when?
Yeah, in one of the in like a play or something, the actress they cast her was black. Right. But regardless, I'm being facetious a little bit there. I don't think she would be against it. So why not? Like, make like a side story off of that school in Africa. There you go. I mean. You can black it all up as much as you want. Nobody will care. Nobody will get mad about it.
Right. There are not many places in Africa to do something interestingly historical like that isn't Aboriginal, to be fair. There are a few. The Kush, you could definitely get away with doing something in the Kush, which I'm surprised we haven't seen more about the Nubians, to be fair. Right? But really, I think the best way to pull this kind of idea off would be to set it in Baghdad 1,000 years ago. Right?
Yeah.
Or 800 years ago or something like that. Because even though the Middle East is mostly Arabic and Persian,
Chester,
you do have white people coming in and black people. What?
You gave me a really cool idea.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So we know Egypt is very cosmopolitan, always has been.
Oh, God, yeah.
Actually, it's the most mono-ethnic it's ever been, probably, right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, Arabs are kind of like that.
Yeah. So we could easily do a Harry Potter-like story, set it in Alexandria in the library, and say that part of the library is like a magical situation too. That could be cool.
Oh,
like
cool.
you could do something really cool there, and you could have any color of person you want, and there'd be no real complaints by anybody who knows anything, because Egypt has always been a very cosmopolitan place, especially Alexandria, a very cosmopolitan place. You could do really cool stuff that way. That's the overarching point we're getting at, though.
Right.
There's
Well,
places you can do these
races,
stories.
Yeah.
Yes, there's places you could do these stories that make a lot more sense than
Europe,
wherever they're
Upper
doing
New
here.
York, but you know what I mean. Europe, basically.
Even there, Upper New York. You think there's a lot? You think there's a whole lot of black people like this living in Upper New York?
European story. What they're telling, it's European fairies.
Yes.
And you're right. You could do something in Egypt easily, and it could be any ethnicity. You can have one of every color because that would make sense. You go to like I said, the Middle East. Especially if you set it far enough back. If you get into the real heavy Muslim era, you can't. But if you go back before the Muslims really started kicking, like 1,000 years ago,
Alexandria would be awesome.
Alexander would be great. Alexandria, and it already has mysticism around it anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, because we don't really know anything about the library. Not really. Like it was destroyed. You could do anything. You could make it into. It could be, it could be something with time travel. It could be all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's so many cool ways you could take that could just be cool mystery cosmic stuff that you could play with. And this is my point, though. They're completely bereft of actual ideas. Like you said, they just made this movie, 10 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah, it wasn't that long. Yeah.
And now they're doing it again, but this time we're gonna black it up. And they expect people to be happy, I guess.
No, I don't think people are.
They're just
care.
bereft.
I have a feeling it's just going to go away.
Completely bereft. Well, that's what's happening to all this stuff. It just goes away. They're completely bereft of new ideas, and it's just tragic. There's so many cool places in the world that people know about, that people would like to see, and I know this because Assassin's Creed just did this 10 years ago or whatever it was when Origins came out. Part of it, you get to go to the Library of Alexandria. Now, obviously, it's fictional because we don't really know what it looked like, but it's still pretty cool that it's there, right? You get to go to Alexandria itself, the actual city.
Right.
Like,
and just keep in mind the destruction of that library is on the Christians. Just keep that in mind.
Well, it doesn't matter who it's on.
It does.
You could set not for the story I'm talking about. You could set a story in Alexandria long before the destruction of the library, and you could even set up some big cosmic magical situation why that happened. You could do all kinds of stuff. It's back far enough. You're not going to offend anybody.
Use it. It's an easy setting, and once again, for their desire to have one of every color, it's so easy.
It's perfect. Right? It's perfect. Okay, so you don't want to do another white people magic story, right? Like your Harry Potter or whatever. Okay, fine. Why don't we ever get them doing anything with India? The Indian myths are ridiculous.
Well,
there's so many of them.
There's a lot.
And
well,
so deep.
They're the same myths as the Greeks and the Norse.
Well, yes, but they have Indian sounding names.
And they,
right?
And they have different color to them, yeah.
Yes.
You could do more with India for sure. But the interesting thing about the Alexandrian one is one thing that a lot of people don't really, because you could truly have anything you want. And the thing that popped in my head when I was saying that is one of the side characters. Now, I'd make the main character an actual, try to find someone who looks like a actual Egyptian, which they're rare, but, try to find someone. That would be fun. But have a side character. He's like the muscle, and he's a Viking. And this interesting little bit of history you probably don't know. There's a place in southern Italy. It's called Naples, and of course it's very very famous, particularly for pizza, amongst other things. But I bet you didn't know that Naples is actually a Scandinavian colony.
I did know that because you told me that already.
No. But I'm just saying that they were trading, so therefore they're trading right there very easily. Because it just, when it popped in my head, having like a side character that's the muscle and it's like a Viking warrior, and I was like, okay, how could I make that happen? Oh, that's easy. Okay.
And look, we're just some dudes on talking on YouTube right now, and we just came up with what could potentially be a really cool little idea for a Harry Potter-esque story. You could even have it be about younger people. That's fine. And set it in a place they've never, as far as I know, Hollywood has never touched the Library of Alexandria. Probably for what you said, because the Christians are probably responsible, almost certainly responsible for what happened to it.
Absolutely responsible, yes.
But so what? Since when does Hollywood care about pissing Christians off?
Just do it before. You don't obviously.
Yeah, just do it before that. And you could even, like I said, you could set up some reason, alternate history reason why that actually happened in this world, and then maybe just say the Christians got blamed for it or something. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. You could set that. You could set this, 2, 3, 400 years before that happens, and just do something cool. But it's just my point is that's just one place in history in the world that everybody's pretty much heard of, especially in the West, and we've never done anything. Yet this book series, now this is the second movie or whatever this is going to be, series, I guess, about this in about a decade, somewhere around there. It's just stupid. It's just dumb, banal nonsense. All Hollywood has become, by and large, except with few exceptions, is a bunch of fan fiction. They just throw money at it. It's just highly paid, big budget fan fiction, and that's why it sucks. That's why Hollywood is struggling so much. One of the main reasons is everything sucks. Every now and again, you'll get something cool, get something really good, but by and large, there's just this dearth of good cinema because nothing is even remotely creative anymore.
Right, and keep in mind with the Library of Alexandria that you do have about an 800-year period, right?
Yep, plenty of time.
So there's plenty of time to set it in there. Another place that could be a lot of fun, and this has even a little bit, well, about similar time, doesn't it? Yeah, it's about similar age before the Muslims took it. Is Constantinople.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
There's a
I
lot
would
you could do there.
love for some cool Constantinople
Yeah.
lore. Like another one, by the way, Assassin's Creed also did it. Interesting that Ubisoft wasn't afraid to go to these places, but Hollywood is terrified of making anything about these places for some reason.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of really cool. I wouldn't mind an ancient Baghdad. How about Babylon? You could do Babylon, like something cool back then.
Baghdad,
so much.
These would be more racially, cluttered, less cluttered. Whereas Constantinople and Alexandria, you could do whatever you want. But no, Baghdad for sure. Absolutely. Another thing that because it just came into my head, a name for like a series called the Byzantine Arcane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun. But I mean, the point is, there are other things you can do,
Yes.
and that are originally unique, and you can set it in places that are not whites, because that seems to be a thing, and do non-white things. Okay, cool, do that.
Cool, make it good.
Right.
That's the only rule. Make it good.
Because if you make it good, people like it. Like one of the most successful Disney films of all times is called Aladdin, and it's set where?
It's the only good Disney movie. Thank you. It is set in the Middle East, deep in the Middle East, in Arabia. I think because I'm pretty sure the city's fictional. That oh man, my brain just lost it. Agrabah? Is that what it is? I don't think that's
Agrabah, Aquabar, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's a real place, but regardless, I mean it is, but it is a real place. Like there's places like that exist.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So yeah, and I say it all the time. It's the only good Disney movie ever made. It's by far my favorite Disney movie. It's one of the best animated movies ever made, the first Aladdin. And it's pretty much exactly what we're talking about. It's mystical, it's magical, it's whimsical. Like it's got all of that, and there's no white people in it at all, unless you count the Arabs, which only America does that. So
yeah, I know it's weird. But they are turning on other things though, because the Shogun thing, which I'm because it's made by Disney, I'm not watching. I don't care. I don't care if it's good or not. It's irrelevant. I'm not watching it. However, they're getting a lot of flack. You know why? You know why Shogun's getting a lot of flack? Something set 500 years ago, then during Sengoku Jidai. Would you like to know why they're getting flack?
Tell me.
No black people.
Well, how dare they? Okay. You're telling me Japan wasn't replete with Africans?
Yeah,
it was not replete with Nubians and Sub-Saharans.
Weird.
I don't buy it.
Yeah,
don't buy it.
And of course, keep in mind that whole story is based around a Dutch ship that landed very close to me, actually, just like 10 minutes north of me, right? During a storm, and they got washed up on shore, and it was a Dutch trading ship, and of course, they captured them all and took them to travel them over to Edo, or what they call Tokyo today. And it's just about a friendship that comes up between the captain and the young emperor, or excuse me, the young shogun. That's the story. That's it. So even the white people literally had to be stormed in, right?
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
right? And it is based on historical fact. It did happen, right?
Yep.
But that's supposed to be the whole story. So, but they're all upset there aren't any black peoples. So
Yep.
now I would wonder. I'm curious if someone did a remake of Shaka Zulu, which someone should try to do a proper story on Shaka Zulu. To be fair, and there wasn't like a whole bunch of Asians and Indians and white men running around Shaka Zulu's tribe. Are they going to complain about that?
No, that's fine.
No, that's fine.
Just like how the Black Panther movie, there's, I believe, one white guy in the movie, if I remember correctly, one or two. Yeah. Well, I think there's two actually, because the one guy who basically is just there to get yelled at about being white. That's his job.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, he's just there to get yelled at about being a colonizer. Yeah.
That's right.
But these people are ridiculous. It's nonsense. This movie's is dead on
And
arrival.
by the way, Black Panther proves our entire point. Wakanda is a fictional place, right? It's not real. I'm sorry, weird black people who for some reason think it's real. Wakanda doesn't exist.
Just like
but it's cool.
So many others, right?
Wakanda is a cool idea. It's a cool place. It's great design. It's awesome. Nobody has a problem with Wakanda as a concept necessarily.
No,
and they went out and they made the Black Panther movie, and they actually built a pretty cool little culture there, and I think they did a good job with it. And it made a lot of money. Did fine. Both of them made good money. They did all right. Exactly. That's what we're saying to you, Hollywood. We're not saying don't make black movies. Make them, but just make them good. Or, well, Black Panther's not good,
right.
but better than this stuff. Make them. We'll put some actual effort into it. Is all we're asking for.
They did drop the ball a little bit on the Black Panther because the vibranium is what makes them, but it's not just the vibranium. Keep in mind where they got it from: a crashed alien spaceship. That's also where they got their tech, and they left that out of the movie completely.
Yep.
So I don't know why. I mean, that was the main part of it, but whatever. It's enough nonsense. Is weird.
Especially considering, it's not like there weren't aliens long established at the time in Marvel when they were making that movie. I don't know why they left out that part of it.
They could have tied in the Kree, or they could have used it, for some of their cosmic stuff. Actual world building.
No, well, now you're just being silly.
But once again, more wasted money from Hollywood. That Spiderwick will go nowhere. Just like the Haunted Mansion didn't go anywhere. And it's like it's that same vein of thing, and they're kind of missing the point that it's really for girls, right? And I don't know, it's just such a huge waste of money we're getting over. And Grimlock, this year is going to be rough, dude. There's hardly any interesting movies coming out this year. It's going to be rough.
He's here. Is he here?
I don't know if he's here, but he's here.
Oh,
there. That's no surprise to me. There was nothing you guys watched that I was particularly interested in.
Well, Terrifier 3 is coming.
Don't care.
You should.
I don't.
How dare you have your own opinion?
You don't like horror movies?
They bore me.
Fair enough.
See?
No. Some people don't.
He and I have a very simple mind on these things. They just don't do it for me. Maybe I'll get a startle when they do a jump scare, sure, but
they're hardly ever scary. That's not the point.
Yeah.
No.
There was a time when that was entertaining. It's not anymore.
It's like
it's a waste.
I don't really care for drama and comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I get it.
Especially dramedy. He's not on board with dramedies.
No, I don't need that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of those things. I've seen a few comedies that I like Ghostbusters, Stripes. Now, I'm just not a big comedy guy.
So you're saying you're just a Bill Murray fan? Is that what you're saying to me?
Probably,
Yeah. What about Groundhog Day? You don't like Groundhog Day?
I do love Groundhog Day. Yeah.
I was about to say, everybody loves that movie.
But I like some Robin Williams stuff. But a lot of his best stuff is drama, not as actually drama, not
comedy. I agree.
Well,
that and being the genie,
dude.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. If you anybody listen to this, if you've never seen Good Morning Vietnam, do yourself a favor. The moment you have a couple hours,
Yeah.
find it somewhere. I'm sure it's on a streaming service somewhere, and watch it. It is a phenomenal movie from
And it's
beginning
got
to
a
end.
great twist ending too that you wouldn't.
Yep.
I'm not going to spoil it, but it's not. It doesn't end the way you would expect a Hollywood movie to end.
No.
Yeah, it's great. It's the way it should be, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a very good
But
movie.
yeah, it's a great movie. But anyway, I got to get ready for my day and get out here and I have classes. But nevertheless, that was fun. We have some interesting things. You guys kind of try to do a little bit of research for me and let me know the P Diddy song that I'm supposed to know.
Well, Grimlock probably knows, I'm sure.
Because he's
That's it.
black? That's probably true.
No, he just knows more
No,
about
I
that.
like
Well,
the
that too.
racism. I want to go with that. I
What am
don't
I
know. Do
supposed to
you
know?
listen to rap at all, Grimlock?
Yeah. Well, what am I supposed to know?
I don't know because this Sean Combs guy, the Puff Daddies, who's in all the trouble. He's supposed to be this
biggest.
like big, huge rapper. I've never heard a single song from him ever.
He's more known as a producer than he is a rapper. Yes, he has. He's had some albums, but let's put it this way: any good line that Puff Daddy has ever put out came out of his mouth was written by somebody else.
Oh, sure.
He's more known for being a producer, but to be honest, he's even more known for being one of the shittiest people in the music industry. I mean, even before all this recent shit that's come out about him, a lot of people suspected that he was the one who put a hit out on Tupac Shakur.
Oh, really?
A lot of people
that.
believe that he betrayed Notorious B.I.G. and had him killed. He was known for robbing his artists, with the BS contracts that he had. He's been a known piece of shit for a long time for various reasons. The new stuff is just like the worst, if it's true, the worst of the worst that he has done. So, yeah, like if you go back 30 years, there's a lot of shit. Like, you could.
But no, again, he still didn't say a song because
exactly. Although I don't know why it came to my head while you were talking about that, because you guys know in here, I don't find most black ladies be attractive. That's just me. It's not. That's not a universal. It's just my taste. Although there is one black lady I find to be absolutely super fly.
We know Rice King Chester. We know.
No, seriously. Can you guess? There is a black lady I find absolutely fine. I mean, smoke.
Beyonce.
Nah, not really. Yeah. Anybody?
No.
Angela Bassett.
Yeah, well, yeah, but Angela Bassett, of course.
Dude, that's a sexy woman right there.
What about a young Tyra Banks? You didn't think Tyra Banks was hot when she was younger?
I don't know what a Tyra Banks is. Let me check.
Oh, Lord.
Tyra Banks. Yeah, but Angela Bassett, that's all woman right there, man.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, this is not a black woman.
Well,
this is not a black
in America, one drop is all it takes. I don't make the
I'm
rules.
just saying, this is a mulatto girl, and a lot of mulattoes are quite beautiful, right?
Yes.
This is not
very
qualify.
well.
You got to give me an actual black woman. This ain't it.
Okay, so you want like a full-on
Angela
Nubian
Bassett,
goddess,
that's a black woman.
is what you're telling me.
Right.
A Nubian goddess.
Yes.
All right, hang on. Let me see if I can find her real quick. Hang on. What's her name?
I mean, I'm assuming you agree with me, Grimlock, about Angela Bassett, though.
Well, I'm actually surprised you like any black woman. So I guess I will take that.
Well, she was in a movie. It was a so-so movie with James Spader. It's called Supernova. And she was, a little bit. She's very older now, but that was a good decade or more ago. And she's, even though she was clearly in her late 40s, maybe even 50s, Oh damn, dude, that woman.
Yep.
Now that's the kind of ass you like. These fat asses like the Kardashian types, where they actually take fat cells and inject them into their ass, and therefore they stink. Just keep in mind, all these women with the fake asses, they smell like death. Just keep that in mind. Now, you want to see a woman who's got a actual fine, a big ass? Angela Bassett.
Chester.
Yeah.
In the general chat currently, there is one named Kiki Lane.
Okay.
I have a picture of Miss Lane that I have posted, and I think she's beautiful.
No, she is cute. She is cute. That's fair, and that's a black girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
she's actually not only cute. I don't know about in this picture, but the only real movie I've ever seen her in that I know her from, which was the second Come to America movie, which is a terrible film, but it exists, and I watched it. And she plays one of his daughters, and she has enough physical charisma that I thought she'd make a great Storm.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, now keep in mind, I know people like to use the term Nubian princess, but this woman, Angela Bassett, these are not East African features.
No.
These are the Ivory Coast feature girls. These are they have those more refined, kind of attractive, sharper features. The Nubians. And keep in mind the Kush was a serious ass empire. Now they were protected by mountains is the reason why the Cometians couldn't deal with them. But the Nubians, just understand a Nubian has the big old round forehead, lips that go out about a quarter of a mile, and extremely round cheeks and features. The kind of like comical stereotype of a black African is what a Nubian looks like. Of course, there are many different type of black Africans that look in all different kinds of ways, right? But the Nubians specifically, none of these women you've mentioned look anything Nubian at all.
Well, yes, but that is a slang term, I guess we'll call it, a Nubian
Yeah, I get
princess.
it, but do keep in mind, I doubt you have any slaves who were ever taken from the Nubians because they would kick your ass. Those guys didn't play. The Egyptians even knew that, and the majority of their military was made up of Nubian warriors. You don't. So the blacks we see in the West from the slave days, anyway. Of course, plenty of blacks would come over later. Those are not Nubians, without question. So but yeah, this is a pretty girl, but she's definitely Ivory Coast type, like Angela, similar. Anything I need to look up, Grimlock? Educate me. But I've always found Angela to be beautiful, though.
She is.
Yeah.
True.
And she just carries herself in such a, almost I would say like a noble grace, a noble sexy.
She is regality, very regal. Yeah.
Angela.
She might actually have some.
Yeah, you never
deep
know.
in her heritage. You never know.
But she carries herself like that. But anyway, ain't like no Mary J. Blige. Nevertheless, thank you all for coming in. I do need to go. I got to get going. I got to work.
Get out of here.
So thank you all very much. Grimlock, would you like to say something to the people about beautiful black ladies?
Nothing wrong with a little chocolate every day.
No, no. People like what they like, dude, and that's all good.
Mm-hmm. Chester likes a little bit of sushi to start his day.
I do. I am definitely a yellow fever boy. That is true. Yeah.
It's contagious. You got to be careful around them. It's a problem.
It is true. Yeah. Keep your Asian women away from the bugbear. That is fair. But
see, I don't have a particular ethnicity necessarily that I'm against. Yeah. I'm against one specific feature, and any woman who has it, no matter how she can have perfect everything else, she has this, I'm out. Big nose, can't do it.
Yeah. Some people find that unattractive. Some people like it. That's the great thing about it, though. People have different tastes, especially men. They have a lot of different tastes in what they find attractive, and that's all good. I think when I'm talking about, it's not just necessarily black people. It could be any race, but it's the big, thick, honking rhino skulls.
Like, so Brock Lesnar is what you're saying.
Yeah. Brock Lesnar I have zero attraction to Brock Lesnar. There you go.
I would hope, because that is that is. I don't even know if he's human. I'm not sure. We're gonna need
he's a Neanderthal for sure.
Yeah.
But that's what it is for me. It's a skull. It's the skull.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
He likes them slender skulls.
I do like the slender, like I said, with the Ivory Coast Black Africans have the more, like Wesley Snipes. He's the same type, right? Now he's a dude, but I can acknowledge that Wesley's a handsome man. I mean, obviously, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Simon Phoenix. I know he's also Blade, but for me, he'll always be Simon Phoenix.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. No, I've enjoyed a lot of Wesley's stuff. It's too bad they busted him for something that so many people do. Why did he get in trouble and then all the rest of Hollywood doesn't get in trouble?
I have a sneaking suspicion he rejected the booty hole. He said, "No, we won't be having that."
Yeah, he pissed people off.
Yeah.
But whatever, he's back. Just like Mike, man. Mike got robbed, dude. That whole nonsense with him back in the 90s, dude, that was complete bullshit.
It was indeed.
I don't know who he pissed off, but he pissed somebody off because that was absolute railroad. That should have that I feel bad for Mike. And it hurt him too. Career wise, because he was only in a short time. It wasn't very long, right?
Yep.
But it killed his career. Anyway, I gotta go. What are you doing? Take us out of here.
What are you doing? All I gotta say, I'll do Chester's favorite one because it's quick and easy, and I was reminded of it when I was watching The Chosen the other day. I highly recommend anybody listening to my voice watch that series. It's about Jesus, so if you like you some Jesus, you'll like it. It's about his disciples, really, but obviously Jesus is a part of that. It's very good. I watched it back, a lot of it, just the other day, like I said, and there's a part in there that reminded me of this. The master is not the one who completes his training. The master is the one who never stops.
It's true. Yeah. Namaste.